Chapter 956. A piece of metal that was originally in perfect condition fell to the ground and broke into pieces. Xiaolei was unwilling to accept such an outcome no matter what. In his life, there was no example of giving up after failure. After leaving Eugene Li's lab, Charlotte went to his underground lab. Not only did he bring the fragments of the new material, but he also brought Eugene Li's experiment report. The lab was still guarded by the special forces, but no one dared to enter the underground lab of the villa. The mysterious ancient alloy was still in existence that no one dared to approach. There was no sound in the underground lab, only light. It was eerily quiet. They took out the armor, and the piece of the helmet that had been patched in was clearly visible. Xiaolei took it down and placed it together with a new type of material that Li Yuden had created. He observed it carefully. He had to admit that Eugene Li had done an excellent job. The replica he made was exactly the same as the real silver metal, be it the color or the weight. In fact, the new material he made was based on the molecular structure of the silver metal. It could be said that it was the same inside and out. But how could the new material be so fragile? After observing it for a while, Charlotte had the idea of seeing through the silver metal and the new material. However, he gave up on the idea as soon as it appeared. He had not fully recovered. If he used his ability again, he might faint in this underground lab. Charlotte opened Eugene Li's experiment report. A paragraph of content piqued Charlotte's curiosity. After Eugene Li and Elder Fan created the new material, they did a physical test. It was very strong. A certain degree of impact and compression did not deform it. Why did it shatter when I dropped it? It felt like a piece of glass. He read page by page and realized that if he only looked at Eugene Li's experiment report, this new material was definitely the most suitable material in the world to make fighter jets and aerospace equipment. Not only was it light, but it was also stronger than titanium alloy. Its biggest advantage was that it could completely absorb radar electromagnetic waves. Such a material could be used to manufacture drones and fighter jets. It would not even need to be painted to be completely invisible to radar, but the experiment report was only on paper. It lost its meaning the moment the first sample was smashed to the ground. A failure was a failure. No matter how beautiful the data was, it could not change this fact. After reading Eugene Li's experiment report, Charlotte threw it aside. He found a fire axe and walked to the side of the battle armor. After hesitating for a moment, he suddenly raised his axe and chopped down on the breastplate of the battle armor. Clang! There was a muffled sound, and sparks flew everywhere. The battle armor on the workbench bounced a little, and the fire axe in Charlotte's hand was also swung back due to the recoil. There was no mark on the breastplate. Its surface was still smooth, but there was a row of scars on the fire axe. Charlotte fell into deep thought. According to the prehistoric description, this battle armor was the protective gear he relied on to fight against Zhu Xianyue. He fought against Zhu Xianyue several times before Zhu Xianyue managed to destroy this battle armor. This was also the reason why he was defeated and died. There was only to think about how strong Zhu Xianyue was. She was an invincible existence. But even she had to fight hard to destroy this battle armor several times. There was only to think about how strong this battle armor was. It was also an existence that defied the natural order. However, Eugene Li and Elder Fan's battle armor were made with this silver metal as the basis. Even if it was weak, it shouldn't have broken when it fell to the ground, right? Furthermore, when Eugene Li and Elder Fan created the new material, they went through a physical test. Eugene Li's experiment report also recorded the relevant process and results. So what went wrong? If this new material did not go through a physical test, it would shatter when it fell to the ground. The source of the problem must be the molecular structure. But it had clearly gone through a physical test, and the data was very eye-catching. So why did it change after a while? Wait a minute. When I was breaking down the silver metal, Eugene Li mentioned that there was a component that I have never seen or heard of before. Is it because of the missing unknown substance? And that unknown substance acts as a stabilizer in the silver metal? Step by step, Charlotte seemed to have found the source of the problem. After some time, Charlotte once again arrived before the new material and the silver metal fragment. He took a deep breath and activated the X-ray ability of his left eye. This time, he did not faint or show any signs of discomfort. His body was constantly evolving, and his recovery ability was also constantly improving. His X-ray vision locked onto the new material fragment and the silver metal fragment at the same time. Then he chiseled into them bit by bit. During the process, he kept increasing the power of his X-ray vision. When he entered the interior of the two metals, he switched to microvision mode. Before his eyes was a vast expanse of silver. The molecules were as big as a fist, one next to the other. But in his mind, it was a three-dimensional image of a whole. It showed the internal molecular structure of the two metals in all aspects. The internal structure of the two metals was exactly the same. At this point, Charlotte reached a dead end. He could see the molecular structure of the two metals, but he could not see the components. If he could not find this stabilizer component, no matter how many copies of the new material, it would be useless. I wonder if this will work. Charlotte suddenly turned off his independent thinking. The only thought that remained was that of a navigator. At that moment, his brain once again entered a new transcendent mode. This mode consumed a lot of energy, but it was worth a try. In this new extraordinary mode, as long as he put something in his brain, his computer would have billions of researchers analyzing and studying it. They could even simulate it, just like when he was studying the drone. As soon as Charlotte's brain entered the new extraordinary mode, his every brain cell was like a researcher who was as good as he was analyzing and studying the two metals. One researcher was a force. When billions of researchers gathered together to study, the force was like a tsunami in the sea or a magma eruption in a volcano. It was not something that could be resisted by humans. Charlotte's brain was filled with all kinds of data, molecular structure, and the components that he could not see just now. Furthermore, his brain had actually analyzed the components that even Li Yuden hadn't analyzed. In other words, in this short amount of time, his brain had already produced a complete composition diagram of the silver metal. Among the components, there was carbon, the most common carbon element in nature. There was tantalum, a rare metal. It was an indispensable and precious element for the development of electronics and space technology. There was also tungsten, another rare metal. When it was combined with carbon, it could produce the hardest metal in the world, which was tungsten gold. Finally, an unprecedented component appeared in Charlotte's brain. However, the component was not a certain rare metal, nor was it any element in this world. Instead, it was the glittering energy substance that existed in Zhu Xianyue in his brain, and it was the stabilizer of the silver metal. All the components were out, and his brain began to simulate the silver substance. The elemental materials were mixed together, and in the end, it was the energy substance. It was like a secret material that was mastered by a master of swordsmithing. When it was added at the most critical moment, it would be a great sword. But without it, it would just be a piece of scrap iron. Sure enough, a few minutes later, a piece of silver metal that was identical to the composition of the armor was born in his brain, instead of a piece of scrap that would break if he dropped it. Charlotte opened his eyes, and then his legs gave way, and he fell to the ground. Fortunately, he stopped the new super brain mode in time. If he had been any slower, he would have definitely fainted in this underground laboratory. Charlotte lay quietly on the ground, and while waiting for his body and mind to recover, he was also thinking about new questions. I didn't expect the most important material to be this. What is it? Zhu Xianyue needs it to be resurrected, and I have it in my brain as well, but the amount is far less than what Zhu Xuanyue's brain has. Zhu Xianyue eats human brains, or rather, souls, to replenish the consumption of the mysterious energy substance. Could it be that humans are just a kind of mineral in Zhu Xuanyue's eyes? Or is this Earth just a farm for her and her kind? She and her kind need this substance to survive, and the civilization that she and her kind built was also built on this mysterious substance? Were these questions real? Charlotte had no idea, but he could not control his brain to think about these things. And these thoughts terrified him, frightened him. An hour later, Charlotte crawled up from the ground. This time, he moved the mysterious silver metal away and only used his X-ray vision on the new material created by Eugene Lee. Then, he entered the new super brain mode to analyze and simulate the manufacturing process. After some time, he entered the new super brain mode. He swayed and almost fell to the ground. He quickly leaned his upper body on the workbench, and only then did he not fall. Using the new super brain mode continuously, both his mind and his body were extremely tired. But at this time, a smile appeared on his face because he had found a way to solve the problem that Eugene Lee and Fan Yiming could not solve. Now, he only needed to add a new element to the composition list of the new material, and he would be able to create the imitation silver metal that would not quickly decay. And these two elements were not rare metals, but very common elements. It was the metal calcium. According to the simulation results of the super brain mode, if he followed the composition list, manufacturing process, and craftsmanship in his brain, Rema Group will be able to create a new material that had 30% of the overall performance of the silver metal. Although it only had 30% of the overall performance, it was still the most perfect material in the world to create fighter jets and aerospace equipment. Charlotte wrote down a composition list and a manufacturing process, but after he finished writing it, he burned it. The thing that he had just obtained could lead to a material revolution. Casually writing it on a piece of paper and then giving it to Eugene Lee was not a safe method. It was not that he did not trust Eugene Lee, but Eugene Lee did not have the ability to protect this secret. Chapter 9:57. As night fell, Fan walked into the door of Ping in residence. She saw Yang Xiao practicing Wing Chun in the courtyard. Under the dim yellow light, her every punch and kick looked very beautiful. No matter what angle the photo was taken from, it was a stunning artistic photo. There were no blind spots. Fan walked over and said with a smile, "Xiao, you look so good when you practice. I want to learn from you." Liang Xiao stopped her punches and said with a smile, "Sister Fan, have you eaten?" "I have." Fan looked in a direction and asked, "Where is he?" Liang Xiao said, "He is still in his underground laboratory. I can't go in there, and I don't dare to call him for dinner." After a pause, she said, "Are you looking for him?" Fan shrugged and said, "He called me to come over." Liang Xiao looked confused and said, "Why didn't I know?" At this moment, Charlotte came from the direction of the door. His footsteps gave people a floating feeling as if he was seriously ill. He didn't have the strength to walk and would fall to the ground at any time. However, he looked very excited and there was a smile on his face. "What's wrong with you?" Liang Xiao and Fan said almost at the same time, and then went up to support Charlotte. "Nothing, I'm just tired," Charlotte said with a smile. "Aren't you in the laboratory? Can you be so tired from doing experiments?" Liang Xiao asked curiously. Charlotte said, "It's not just doing experiments. Go get me something to eat. I'm starving. I'll tell you guys good news when we eat." "I'll get it for you." "Sister Fan, take your husband back to the room to rest," Liang Xiao said and left. Fan helped Charlotte into the living room and then put him on the sofa. She sat on the sofa and used her thigh as a pillow for Charlotte. Then she massaged Charlotte's head and neck. "Honey, what's the good news? Can you tell me first?" Fan tried to please him. She had a feeling that what Charlotte was going to say was definitely not something ordinary. Charlotte didn't respond at all. He quietly lay in Fan's arms and slept very peacefully. Fan curled her lips, but her hands didn't stop. She gently massaged Charlotte's head and neck. The person being massaged didn't have any reaction, but the person being massaged was particularly sensitive. Her cheeks turned red and hot, and her breathing also became shorter and faster. "You really are a bad guy. Even when you're asleep, you can still bully me," Fan's little mouth murmured. Charlotte's mouth floated a trace of a smile, but Fan didn't notice it. Liang Xiao cooked a bowl of plain noodles for Charlotte and brought it directly to the living room. Fan shook Xia lay awake, and the two women watched as he gulped down a large bowl of plain noodles in one gulp. After eating the noodles, Charlotte felt more comfortable and energetic. "Hurry up," Liang Xiao, who was still wearing an apron, urged. Charlotte put the bowl and chopsticks on the coffee table and then patted the thighs of Liang Xiao and Fan Fan. You all know about Rema Group's new material project, and I want to tell you the good news. I solved its problem. Our Rema Group will soon have our own new material. Fan Fan opened her mouth wide in surprise. Liang Xiao, on the other hand, had a bewildered look on her face. Hubby, didn't that material fail? I saw it with my own eyes. It fell from your hand and then broke. In such a short time, how could you solve such a big problem? Charlotte said, it's really solved. I originally wrote a formula and related manufacturing process, but it was a very important matter. I was worried that it would be leaked, so I destroyed it. I'm also sure that once we produce this material, it will be the world's most perfect material for manufacturing fighter jets and aerospace equipment. Moreover, it can completely absorb radar electromagnetic waves and achieve the purpose of invisibility without any coating. Liang Xiao and Fan Fan exclaimed at the same time. At the same time, they leaned over and kissed him on the cheek. There were 2 red lipstick marks on his cheek, one on the left and one on the right. Honey, you're amazing. Liang Xiao's eyes were full of admiration and deep love. Who didn't want their man to be the most powerful man in the world? Which woman didn't want their man to be a hero? And Charlotte was the most powerful man in the world. He was also the hero of the whole Chinese world. Honey, I want to tell my grandfather the news now. Fan Fan couldn't wait to take out her mobile phone. Charlotte grabbed her hand and said, don't tell him for the time being. I don't want this matter to be leaked for the time being. It's not that I don't trust your grandfather, but there are many people in charge of this project, and I can't guarantee the safety of everyone. Do you understand what I mean? Fan Fan nodded. Charlotte said with a smile, but you can give him a hint to make him happy, but you still have to tell him not to tell anyone. No, I better not give him any hint. With his one-track mind, if I give him a hint, he will definitely come to you. At that time, this secret will be exposed, Fan Fan said. Charlotte said, I called you here because I want to inform the higher-ups of this through your channels. What do you want me to say? Tell them that Rema Group's new material has been developed, and it's the most perfect aerospace material in the world. I need the best material workshop in the country, and ask them to give me the equipment and all the personnel and supplies I need. But this time, I'm not asking for nothing. I'll pay them as much as they deserve, Charlotte said. Shitu Tianing's words still had an impact on him. He was always receiving funding from a state. In the future, who would the Rema Group belong to? He was not short of money now, and the U.S. stock market was his ATM. I'll go now. Fan Fan couldn't sit still for a moment. Charlotte nodded. Go. Be careful on the road. Liang Xiao got up and held Fan Fan's hand. Can't we go tomorrow? Fan Fan leaned over and lowered her voice. He's already so tired, and you're safe. It's okay if I don't stay. Liang Xiao's face suddenly turned red. She hit Fan Fan. Go, go, go. After Fan Fan left, Charlotte rested his head on Liang Xiao's lap again. He said, Xiao, you'll be in charge of the new material workshop. Me? Can I do it? Liang Xiao looked a little worried. Charlotte said, Of course you can. Eugene Li is a trustworthy person. An elder Fan can be his advisor. The rest of the staff will be selected from the most loyal staff, but the most important formula and manufacturing process will be controlled by you. You have this secret, and in the future, no one will dare to use your past against you. Liang Xiao covered Charlotte's mouth. I won't allow you to say something like that. Charlotte smiled. I won't say it if you don't want to. Liang Xiao said, building the best material workshop in the country will definitely require a lot of money. There's so many projects under construction now, and you don't need funding from the state. Where do we have so much money to pay for it? Charlotte looked at his watch. I'll go make money in an hour. Liang Xiao suddenly understood. She was stunned for a moment, and then she couldn't help but laugh. So that's how it is. Then I don't have any problems. You rest for a while. I'll go with you when a market opens at 10 o'clock. I want to see how my man makes money. Charlotte responded softly, and then closed his eyes. Liang Xiao gently stroked his hair, and her eyes were full of tenderness. Some scenes of her and Charlotte together in the past quietly appeared in her mind, and her heart seemed to fly back to those happy times. She had lost him before, and now she had him again, so she cherished everything in front of her even more. Perhaps those sweet memories of the past tickled a certain nerve in her, and for a while, she quietly pressed her plump upper body down and used her soft parts to press against Charlotte's head, giving him a massage. Of course, her goal was not to give him a massage. She was the naughty girl who held a firework. She wanted a bright firework, but she didn't have a lighter. And her man, had a lighter. What do you want? Charlotte's eyes opened a slit. In his eyes, Liang Xiao's cheeks were crimson, and her eyes seemed to be soaked in honey, so sweet that it was sickeningly sweet. I want to do. Liang Xiao exhaled. Do what? Do. Liang Xiao didn't continue, but the zero shape of her lips gave the answer. Charlotte turned over and pressed the girl who held the firework, but didn't have a lighter under his body. At 9:50 in the evening, Charlotte and Liang Xiao appeared in the study. Charlotte operated the computer, and Liang Xiao went to make tea for Charlotte. She didn't make him Thai guanyin to Hong Pao, or something like that. She made Charlotte a health tea with wolfberry and jujube. Wolfberry and jujube were kidney nourishing, which was why she made this tea for Charlotte. However, it seemed that her worries were unnecessary. Charlotte seemed to be full of electricity, full of confidence and vitality. Charlotte first looked at the Wall Street Journal, and he saw an article written by Isabel on one of the pages. The content of the article was the information he provided to her, the J. Garrick Battery Project of Green Algae Company. In the article, Isabel used a plausible tone to describe this matter. This was her way of avoiding investigation, so it was normal. However, although it was a specious tone, it was enough to attract them, who had an extremely sensitive sense of smell. After reading Isabel's article, Charlotte immediately sent her the rest of the payment and sent her an email. Your package has arrived. Liang Xiao brought Charlotte the wolfberry and jujube tea she made and sat on his lap. You can do this in the United States, Charlotte said with a smile. All markets are the same, but the American market is a little more robust. Their investors are more rational and focus on long-term investments. Therefore, as soon as this article appears, many investors will flock to it, and the stock of Green Algae Company will continue to rise. I estimate that it will multiply several times. Then when do you plan to make a profit and leave? Liang Xiao couldn't help but guess what her man was thinking. Charlotte's hand fell on the softness of his thigh. Tonight. Huh? Aren't you going to multiply several times? Why are you selling it tonight? Won't you make a lot less money? Charlotte smiled. I'll sell it tonight, and I'll buy it in 3 days. I don't understand. My opponent won't let the stock of Green Algae Company rise. The Wall Street Journal published the article I wanted to publish, and they will use more radical means to get rid of this good news. At that time, the stock will still plummet, and then I'll buy it again. I'll put some news that investors want to see, and then the stock will rise again. Liang Xiao couldn't help but laugh, but she hit Charlotte's hand. Haven't you had enough? At 10 o'clock in the evening, the American stock market opened. Sure enough, the stock of Green Algae rose like crazy. Chapter 958. Japan, Tokyo, secret headquarters of the Secret Service. A Toyota van came to a stop. The door opened, and a tall Mexican woman got out of the van. Her wheat-colored complexion and height of almost 185 meters made her stand out among a group of Japanese. She was Sarita from the FA organization. Charlotte blew up the FA organization's headquarters in Mexico, and the FA organization launched Plan B. Plan B against Charlotte and the Thunder Horse military factory. Even without the UA's instigation, the FA organization would have done it. This was no longer a matter of interest, but revenge. After getting out of the car, Sarita looked around, and her eyes were full of vigilance. In this short period of time, she had already observed all the high vantage points in the surroundings, as well as some of the corners on the ground where people could hide. This was the habit of a top killer, and she was a top killer on the same level as Night Masha. Miss Sarita, please come with me. Miss Mai is already waiting for you in her office, a middle-aged man said in Spanish. Sarita said, You don't have to speak Spanish to me. I can understand Japanese. You can speak English to me. For a top killer, the whole world was her hunting ground. How could she not know a few languages? In this regard, Sarita and Knight Masha were the same. Okay, Miss Sarita, please come with me. The middle-aged man changed to Japanese. When he spoke, he bent down, stretched out his hand, and made an inviting gesture. Sarita followed the middle-aged man into the building, then took an elevator to the top floor and came to an office. Mai Hattori stood in front of a floor-to-ceiling window, overlooking the scenery of the Japanese palace in the distance. At this time of year, the cherry blossoms had not yet bloomed, but in March, it would be a sea of flowers. The middle-aged man said, "Miss Mai, the guest is here." Mai Hattori turned around. She glanced at Sarita, and a smile appeared on her face. "Miss Sarita, please sit down. What would you like to drink?" Sarita said, "I'm not here to drink. The CIB asked me to find you. I'm here. You should know why I'm here." As she spoke, she glanced at the middle-aged man standing beside her. Mai Hattori glanced at the middle-aged man. "Miss Mai, I'm going out to do something. Take your time." The middle-aged man bowed and left Mai Hattori's office. Mai Hattori said, "Miss Zilita, he is my assistant. His name is Kazuo Watanabe. If you need anything, you can ask him. He can provide you with the help you need." Salita frowned. "I don't need any special help. I only have one request. My people will choose a China Airlines flight. When the time comes, you can just inform the security personnel at your airport and ask them to let my people board the plane." "Are they armed?" "Of course," Zilita said. "How can they hijack a plane without weapons? Do you want my men to use their fists to hijack a plane?" "No problem," said Mai Hattori. "But I also have a request. Your people can't leave any traces. Once this happens, the whole world will be shocked. The public opinion in China will definitely erupt like a volcano. That will be a very dangerous thing. If China finds out that this matter is related to us, the consequences will be quite serious." "What does this have to do with us?" Zilita's voice didn't have any human emotions. Mai Hattori sneered, "Miss Zilita, this is not the tone of an ally talking to an ally. We almost conquered China. We know the Chinese better than you do. They look gentle and kind, but once they are enraged or at a certain critical moment, the power that they burst out is quite terrifying. Let me put it this way, if you guys don't do a clean job and leave any traces or clues that can be traced, the special forces and agents of Hua will hunt you down." There was a hint of disdain in the corner of Zilita's mouth. "The plane we hijack will explode. The explosive device we use is a special explosive device provided by the CIB. Once it is detonated, the whole plane will not have more than 5 square centimeters of debris. Even the black box is no exception. What else do you need to worry about from what I said?" "Miss Zilita, don't get me wrong. I'm just reminding you. This kind of thing is very important. We must do it without leaving any traces. In addition, I pay the highest respect to your warriors." Mai Hattori showed a smile. "Their sacrifice is valuable. We will remember their names and worship them in the shrine for generations." Zilita said coldly, "I'm not interested in your shrine. We need all the information about China Airlines and all the flights to Kyoto. You just need to provide us with these. I've already prepared it for you." Mai Hattori opened a drawer in her desk and took out a file from the drawer. She handed the file to Zilita. Zilita opened the file and glanced at it, then said, "We will inform you when we choose the flight. Goodbye, Miss Mai." "Goodbye." Mai Hattori bowed politely to see her off. Zilita took the file and walked to the door. When she walked to the door, she observed the lounge in the office from the corner of her eye. The door of the lounge was closed. However, she seemed to have discovered something. She frowned, and a cold smile appeared at the corner of her mouth. After Zilita left, the door of the lounge suddenly opened. Hattori Masao walked out of the lounge. "Do you think the FA organization's plan B will succeed?" Mai Hattori was silent for a moment, and then shook her head. "It won't succeed?" Hattori Masao frowned suddenly. "Then why are we still cooperating with the FA organization's action? Once we are discovered by China, we will face the anger of more than 1 billion people." Mai Hattori said faintly, "So, we have to have our own action." "Our own action?" Yes, the FA organization's Plan C. Our action, the FA organization's Plan C. Hattori Masao's frown deepened. Make it clear. I'm not in the mood to listen to you keep me guessing. My Hattori opened a drawer and took out a craft envelope from it. She handed the craft envelope to her father. Hattori Masao opened the envelope and pulled out the thing inside. It was a photo of a woman. There was no expression on her face, and she was cold and beautiful. She is Longbing. My Hattori said, according to our intelligence, she has come to Japan. She is the section chief of China's 101 innings and one of the generals of 101 innings. An important figure from China's 101 innings has come to Japan, and at this time, could it be? Hattori Masao paused and said, could it be that China's intelligence department already knows about the FA organization's Plan B? There is an 80% chance. This plan must be canceled. No, my father, my Hattori said, the existence of Charlotte and the Thunder Horse military factory threatens not only the interests of the United States, but also the interests of Japan. Moreover, we're the first to bear the brunt. We cannot accept a powerful China in any case. Do you have any plans? My Hattori leaned close to Hattori Masao's ear and whispered, this is why we need a Plan C. At the same time, a large group of tourists carrying backpacks and dragging suitcases walked out of Narita Airport in Tokyo. These were tourists from China, and their next stop would be the Narita Express to Tokyo. But a few people stayed and were not in a hurry to leave. Among the group of people was a woman wearing a baseball cap. Although the brim of the cap covered half of her face, it could not hide her tall and sexy figure. This woman was Longbing from China. She was surrounded by her subordinates, elite agents from 101 innings. Boss, where are we going now? Tokyo or? Asked an agent. Longbing said, there are two airports in Tokyo, Narita Airport and Haneda Airport. Most of the flights fly from here to China, but we can't be sure that the FA organization's people will board the plane at Haneda Airport. How about this? You go to Haneda Airport, and I will be responsible for Narita Airport. Boss, are you going to stay here alone? It's dangerous. Boss, you can't do this. Even if you want to act separately, you have to leave two people to help you. These agents were all brothers who had gone through fire and water with Longbing. They had a brotherly relationship with Longbing. Of course, they were not at ease when Longbing made such a decision. This is an order. There was no expression on Longbing's face. She was still so cold and inhuman. The agents looked at each other and didn't move. Execute immediately, Longbing said coldly. Only then did the agents leave. They all knew their boss's temper very well. She had already made a decision. Even if they persuaded her here all day, she would not change her mind. After the agents left, Longbing went to an empty corner. She took out the satellite phone that Charlotte had given her and dialed the number saved on it. The call was quickly connected, and a woman's voice came from the satellite phone. It's me, the person you are looking for. It's me, the person who is looking for you. Longbing said, I know where you are. Walk forward and you will see me soon. I will wait for you there. The woman's voice said. Longbing put away the satellite phone and walked forward along the road. The roads in Japan were very clean, and there was almost no garbage. There were houses on the side of the road, and they were all beautiful and elegant. The traditional ethnic style was very strong. After a few minutes of walking, Longbing saw a Toyota car parked on the side of the road and a woman standing beside the car. She was petite and had a delicate and beautiful face like a porcelain doll. She was Akiko Tsukino, the mouse of the Zodiac team. Is she the female ninja that my husband was talking about? She doesn't look like a powerful person, but more like a student. Longbing thought to herself. Akiko Tsukino opened the car door for Longbing. Mrs. Long, get in. Mrs. Long. Longbing was slightly stunned. This kind of address made her a little uncomfortable. Do you want me to call you Miss Long? Akiko Tsukino said. Longbing lightly shook her head. Just call me Mrs. Long. Longbing got in the car, and the Toyota car drove forward, not knowing where it was going. Chapter 9:59. Outside the Rema Group's material laboratory stood a large group of people. Eugene Lee and Fan Yiming were among them, as well as members of the Rema Group's own research team. These people raised their heads in anticipation, waiting for someone to appear. The person they were waiting for was Charlotte. Charlotte had already been in the material laboratory for 8 hours, and there were still no signs of him coming out. "Do you think Chairman Xia will succeed?" A material science expert voiced out the doubt in his heart. "I don't think so. Chairman Xia is good at making weapons, but material science isn't his area of expertise." Someone said, "I think so too. Elder Fan is our country's leading material science expert. He is also the president of the Academy of Science. If even Elder Fan can't find a solution, how could Chairman Xia?" Someone said, "Sigh, what a pity. If he succeeded, that material would be the king of aerospace materials. I believe that even the United States would be jealous." Someone said, "I really hope that Chairman Xia will immediately come out and tell us the results. Even if he doesn't succeed, at least he can point us in the right direction." Someone said, "Sounds of discussion." Eugene Lee lost his patience. He whispered to Fan Yiming, "Elder Fan, do you think Chairman Xia will succeed?" Fan Yiming stroked his white beard and thought for a moment before saying, "I don't know." Eugene Lee smiled bitterly. "Elder Fan, Chairman Xia is your grandson-in-law. Didn't he reveal anything to you in private?" Fan Yiming rolled his eyes at Eugene Lee. "He is my grandson-in-law, but he didn't tell me." Rebuffed, Li Yuden shut his mouth. Amidst the buzzing sounds of discussion, a large group of people walked over. At the very front was Fan Fan. Behind her were leaders. They weren't just ordinary leaders, they were all big leaders. Seeing these leaders, the people surrounding the entrance of the laboratory dispersed and made way for them. As Fan Fan walked, she introduced the situation to one of the leaders. Her expression was respectful and cautious. "Leader, in front of us is the Rema Group's material laboratory." The chief nodded slightly, looking very amiable. However, the staff of Rema Group did not dare to breathe loudly. They all looked nervous. In their eyes, Fan Fan was already a very big leader, and even Fan Fan had to call him a leader, so it was self-evident how important his identity was. His appearance here also showed how much he valued Rema Group's new materials. This material would shake the military balance of the world. At that time, even if the U.S. placed radars all over Korea, Vietnam, and Japan, it would not be able to detect China's planes. Even the aged Godfather Liu would be able to fly around Japan's neckline as he pleased if he used this kind of material to construct a plane. The military bases of the U.S. built in Japan, they can also blow them up whenever they want. It could even use an aerial refueling tanker to refuel in the air and fly to the United States for a stroll. With such a material and airplanes made from it, no country or force could encircle China and suppress the rise of China. It was the turning point of an era. Before it was born, it was time to accumulate power. After that, it was time to soar. Fan Yiming came over to shake hands and talk. Even he was very humble and polite. He smiled and said, "Elder Fan, why are you outside?" Fan Yiming smiled awkwardly. "That kid didn't let me in, so I stayed outside." "He's your grandson-in-law." He looked at Fan Fan with a smile on his face. "All right, Fan Fan, when are you guys getting married?" Fan Fan subconsciously looked at her small belly that was showing signs of bulging. Her pretty face blushed. "He's so busy. How would we have time to get married? It might take a while." "That won't do. You have to work, and you have to accept the marriage. Marriage is a big event in a person's life. I think it's almost Chinese New Year. You guys should get married during Chinese New Year," he said. "Yes, I'll listen to the arrangements of the organization." Fan Fan's heart was filled with joy. She couldn't contain her joy. She and Charlotte were brought together by the organization, but before that, the two of them already had that kind of relationship, so it could be considered as a matter of course. However, even though she and Charlotte confirmed their relationship, Charlotte never mentioned anything about getting a certificate or holding a ceremony with her. Her belly was getting bigger by the day. With her status, if she gave birth to a child without being married, that would definitely be inappropriate. Now that he had set the date, even if Charlotte was a loach, he still wouldn't be able to escape. Elder Fan, congratulations, your granddaughter married a good husband, he said. Fan Yiming chuckled. Yes, yes, my granddaughter's luck is good. Fan Fan charmingly rolled her eyes at Fan Yiming. Grandpa, why don't you say that Charlotte's luck is good? Why is it that I'm good? If you say it like that, does that mean your granddaughter isn't worth a price? A round of laughter. At this time, Eugene Lee didn't know where his courage came from. He said, I'll go call Director Xia out. No need, no need. We'll wait for him here. Don't disturb his work, he said, very amiably, without any arrogance. Eugene Lee retreated. He looked very nervous. Fan Fan looked at the tightly shut laboratory door. Her heart was actually quite anxious. She explained the situation, but in the end, he wanted to come, and even pushed back an important meeting. He came, but Charlotte was still in the laboratory, not knowing how long it would take for him to come out. They couldn't just leave him waiting outside the door, right? At this time, Fan Fan really wanted Liang Xiao to be by her side, to help her make decisions. But because of Liang Xiao's previous special identity, she didn't dare come over. But just as Fan Fan was secretly anxious, the laboratory door suddenly opened. A familiar figure also walked out from the laboratory. Charlotte finally came out. He was holding a stainless steel tray in his hand, and on the tray was a piece of silver metal. It was square, 1 foot long and wide, and 50 centimeters high. In terms of its size, it looked at least dozens of kilograms. But in Charlotte's hands, it was like a book, and its weight was almost negligible. There were so many people standing at the door, and everyone's eyes were focused on him the moment the door opened. This scene made Xia Lei slightly stunned. But soon he saw Fan Fan, and, standing next to Fan Fan, looking at him with a smile on his face. What he saw scared him out of his wits. Fan Fan followed. Old. Xia, come here, let me introduce you. Only then did Charlotte come to his senses, and he followed Fan Fan to meet the person. He said with a smile, No need to introduce me. I know him, and he knows me. Let me take a look at your stuff. Comrade Xia Lei, is that the new material in your hand? Yes, yes. Charlotte handed it over. Is it heavy? Looking at such a big piece of metal, he did not dare to reach out. Charlotte smiled. It weighs 9.5 kilograms. As soon as the sentence came out, there was a sudden burst of discussion. He picked up the piece of silver metal very carefully, as if he was holding the hope of a race, afraid that he would accidentally break it. The silver metal in his hand sparkled in the afterglow of the setting sun. It looked very mysterious and sacred. Fan Yiming impatiently walked to Charlotte's side and grabbed Charlotte's hand. Did you test it? Charlotte nodded. I did. Then what was the result? Fan Yiming was very anxious. Quickly tell me. Charlotte said. It was about the same as the previous test, not much stronger. Fan Yiming was stunned for a moment. Then isn't that? Charlotte interrupted him. He smiled and said, Elder Fan, don't worry. The instability of this new material has already been solved by me. Ah! Fan Yiming exclaimed. He was stunned. He smiled and said, Charlotte, you are still calling me Elder Fan. That is not appropriate. You should call me Grandpa. Fan Fan's face turned red again. She glanced at Charlotte from the corner of her eyes, observing his reaction. Her heart was filled with joy and nervousness. Grandpa. Charlotte opened his mouth to call. This was the first time he called Fan Yiming Grandpa. Fan Yiming regained his senses, but his reaction was that of a god. Quickly tell me. How did you do it? Quickly tell me. Charlotte did not know how to speak. How he solved the problem. This was a very important secret. How could he say it in this kind of situation? That's right, Director Xia. How did you solve it? Eugene Lee also interrupted and asked, I understand how you feel, but... Charlotte wanted to say something, but stopped. Fan Fan understood and said, Grandpa, just now Charlotte called you. HM? Why did he call me? Fan Yiming's thoughts were all on the silver metal. How could he think of anything else? Fan Fan said, Charlotte called you Grandpa. Why didn't you agree? Really? Oh, call me Grandpa. Fan Yiming finally reacted. He laughed. Good. My granddaughter is so lucky to be able to marry such a promising man like you. Fan, huh? He laughed. Good. Charlotte, I see that it is almost the spring festival. You and Fanfan's wedding should be held during the spring festival. What do you think? Okay, thank you for your concern. Charlotte's face was full of smiles. With his current situation, what was the difference between marrying or not marrying? He returned the medal to Charlotte. Such a big piece of metal, yet it is so light. What other advantages does it have? Charlotte said, its strength is slightly higher than titanium alloy. It can completely withstand the speed of sound. In addition, it can absorb 100% of the electromagnetic waves from radar. If we use it to make fighter jets, there is not a single radar in the world that can detect it. Good. He patted Charlotte's shoulder. Do a good job. If you need any resources, just tell me. Remember, this is not just about you. This is about the entire nation, a big matter. Charlotte nodded his head. I will definitely not disappoint the motherland's expectations. At this time, Fan Yiming took the medal from Charlotte's hand and looked left and right. Li Yuden also came over, his eyes shining as he looked at the piece of silver metal. His eyes flickered with excitement. After looking at it for a while, Fan Yiming suddenly threw the silver medal to the ground. Grandpa! Fan cried out, but she was too late. The medal hit the cement floor with a bang. The silver medal hit the cement floor. The silver medal bounced a bit, then rolled 2 times before stopping. Everyone's gaze was focused on the area where the medal hit the cement floor. A triangular dent appeared on the cement floor. It was very eye-catching. The surface of the silver medal did not have any traces of being hit. Just yesterday, the silver medal that Fan Yiming and Eugene Li created broke when it fell from Charlotte's hand. Really solved the problem. Ha ha ha. Fan Yiming was ecstatic as he laughed. Eugene Li held the silver medal in his hand, his eyes shining as he looked at it. Director Xia, how did you do it? How did you solve the problem? Charlotte did not answer his question. Charlotte, I want to treat you to a meal. How about that? He said with a smile. Sure, it would be my honor, Charlotte also said with a smile. He looked at Fan and said, what do you think of cooking? Fan, this meal was a celebration feast for the new material. It was simple, but it was not simple. Chapter 960. China was researching a new type of material that would become the most perfect aerospace alloy material. The research of this new material was expected to be completed in 5 years. Its birth would add a strong color to the history of human materials science. It would be used in the aerospace industry and make a great contribution to mankind's aerospace industry. This was an article published by China's official media. This was only a paragraph of the article. However, in this article, there was no mention of the name of this new material, nor was there any mention of which company was researching this new material. The entire article was shrouded in a layer of mystery. The article published by China's official media did not mention a word about fighter jets or weapons. However, according to some vague descriptions in this article, even ordinary military fans could guess that this new material would be used to manufacture fighter jets and would be widely used in the military field. This article was not a eulogy at all. This article was actually a signal to the world. As far as Charlotte was concerned, he actually did not want to publish such an article the day after he solved the problem. But this was politics. When the sword was drawn, the extent to which the sword was drawn could deter the enemy and the opponent. This required extremely high political literacy and political wisdom, which were his weaknesses. However, he was also optimistic. This new material would be made public sooner or later and known to the world, so it was not a big deal to publish it earlier. He only needed to do the relevant confidentiality work. It was only after this article was published that Xia Lei gave this new material a name, X-Mystic Gold. The X-Mystic Gold project was a project he was still responsible for. He had his reasons for naming the new material after this project. That was because he had been responsible for the X-Mystic Gold project for so long without any results. He named the new material after this project as an explanation to his superiors. From another perspective, the silver metal was indeed related to the ancient alloy. If it weren't for his tireless research on ancient alloys, if it weren't for him risking his life again and again, this new material wouldn't have existed. You reap what you sow. Although the theory of cause and effect existed in Buddhism, It was a philosophy full of wisdom. While Charlotte was giving out awards to the researchers of new materials in the conference room, Long Bing in Japan was watching a Boeing 747 take off in a village near Narita Airport. It was a China Airlines plane. Her heart was filled with worry. This won't do. What's the point of me staying here? I want to complete the mission, not hide here and receive protection, Long Bing thought to herself. She looked away and left the room. Akiko Tsukino was currently practicing swordsmanship in the courtyard. She had two katanas in her hands, one long and one short. When she brandished them, they matched each other well. Her attack and defense were balanced, and her swordsmanship was exquisite. Akiko Tsukino saw Long Bing coming out of the room, but she didn't stop. Her swordsmanship danced faster, and the light of the sword wrapped around her, making her look like a sharp gyroscope. No matter who approached her, she would crush them. Can you stop for a moment? I want to talk to you, Long Bing said with a frown. Only then did Akiko Tsukino stop. Her two swords returned to their sheaths in a flash, and her movements were as smooth as flowing water. She walked to Long Bing. Mrs. Long, what do you want to talk to me about? Long Bing said, I'm here to carry out the mission, not to be a witness. I don't need such protection. What I need is for you to help me find those people from the FA organization and kill them. Akiko Tsukino smiled. Mrs. Long, since boss asked me to help you and asked you to contact me, I think you must already know about the existence of the Zodiac team, right? Long Bing nodded. Akiko Tsukino said, since you already know about the existence of a Zodiac team, then you should know how many people we have and how strong we are. Long Bing nodded again. On the night before her departure, Charlotte had an in-depth conversation with her. He told her a lot about the Zodiac team and what each member of the Zodiac team was good at. She knew that the Japanese ninja in front of her was best at assassination. Mrs. Long, I'm by your side. My mission is to protect you. I know you need some information, and that's about Sayamo. He's the intelligence expert of our Zodiac team. He has an intelligence system built by himself. Believe me, even if you're here drinking tea and basking in the sun, you will soon get the information you want. Akiko Tsukino said, but if the people from the FA organization board the plane at this time, my mission will fail. Long Bing said. Akiko Tsukino said, you don't have to worry about this. Yelena is watching Narita Airport. She's the chicken of our Zodiac team. She's best at cleaning up hidden targets. Believe her. As long as the people from the FA organization appear at Narita Airport, you will get a call from her within a minute. What about Haneda Airport? There are very few flights to China from Haneda Airport. There are more flights to Europe. The FA organization generally won't choose that airport. But even if they choose Haneda Airport, there will be Angumi Khan watching over there. That Indian monkey is a sharpshooter. He can hit a flying fly. If something happens at Haneda Airport, you will be the first to get the news. Akiko Tsukino said. Long Bing shrugged. There was a strange feeling in her heart. This was the first time she was protected like this during a mission. How was this an agent carrying out a mission? It was simply a vacation for a billionaire. As Charlotte's woman, she enjoyed this kind of treatment. Akiko Tsukino's eyes moved to Long Bing's belly. Mrs. Long, how long has it been? Long Bing was slightly stunned. How long has it been? The child. Long Bing was a little embarrassed. Not long. Why are you asking me this? I'm also a woman. Akiko Tsukino said, I really want to know what it feels like to be pregnant. Can you tell me what it feels like? Long Bing subconsciously rubbed her belly. Although it was still flat, she could still feel the life that was being nurtured in her body. It was this gentle caress that brought a smile to the corner of her mouth. I don't have any obvious pregnancy symptoms yet, but I know that the little fellow is growing in my belly. I'm very worried about him. Akiko Tsukino said with a smile. Yes, think about your child. We will take care of this mission for you. You just need to take care of yourself and your child. A motorcycle stopped by the side of the courtyard, and a helmeted rider walked over. Long Bing noticed him when he appeared on the country road, but she didn't know him. Akiko, can I have a cup of coffee? I want a piece of candy, the man said as he took off his helmet. It was an Arab face. Akiko Tsukino didn't move. She said to Long Bing, "He is Sayamu, our intelligence expert." Long Bing nodded. "Hello, Mr. Sayamu." "Hello, Mrs. Long." Sayamu seemed very polite. "Let's go in and talk." The three of them entered the house. In the living room, Sayamu took out a folded newspaper and put it on the coffee table. The newspaper was in Japanese. Although Long Bing's Japanese was very poor, there were many similarities between Japanese and Chinese, especially some Chinese characters, which were almost copied from Chinese, so she could understand some of the content of the headlines at a glance. The content surprised Long Bing. The content was about China's announcement of a new type of aerospace material. There were also Chinese characters such as Charlotte and Lima. Akiko Tsukino said, "This is an article quoted by Asahi Shimbun from China's media. What do you mean by showing us this?" She frowned. "This is not valuable information. It can't be exchanged for a cup of coffee, not to mention that you asked for an extra piece of candy." The article published by China's official media didn't mention Boss and Rema Group, but the article published by Asahi Shimbun mentioned Boss and Rema Group. Moreover, the content doesn't seem to be baseless speculation, and the tone seems to be very certain. The article even said that China may have obtained the new material, and that it would take 5 years for the research to be successful. That was just a smokescreen. China released this signal at this time to ease the increasingly tense maritime situation, Sayamu said. Akiko Tsukino shook her head. "I'm not interested in politics at all." Long Bing's heart moved. "Mr. Sayamu, you mean? Mrs. Long, don't be polite with me." "You can call me Sayamu. You can also call me Sayamu Almajid Altakrit." "Of course, this name is very long," Sayamu said with a smile. "Okay, Sayamu," Long Bing said. She had to understand these people and be familiar with everything about them, because she was destined to fight with these people for Charlotte and Rema Group. Akiko Tsukino said with some dissatisfaction, "Don't talk nonsense, Sayamu. Tell me, what did you find?" Sayamu's expression became serious. "I've read a lot of similar articles published by the mainstream Japanese media, and none of them have such a tone. In the past, if China claimed that they had developed something, the tone of the Japanese media was usually contemptuous and doubtful, or said that the thing that China was researching was backward technology, many years behind the same kind of technology in Japan, and so on. But this time, this article is full of a tone of certainty, and there's also a sense of worry in the article. This seems very normal, but if you compare it with the previous articles, you'll find that this is not normal at all." "You mean?" Long Bing's eyes were full of worry. "The Japanese have an accurate source of information?" Sayamu nodded yes. "Is there a spy in Rema Group?" Long Bing asked. Sayamu said, "I'm not sure about this, but I am very sensitive in this regard, and my intuition is rarely wrong. I even suspect that the Japanese intelligence department has already known that you're in Japan." He could smell the smell of intelligence from an article in the Asahi News. This was the specialty of the Zodiac team's intelligence officer, Sayamu. When God created people, there would always be a time when he was biased to create such an amazing talent like him. "I want to contact Charlotte immediately." Long Bing took out the satellite phone. Akiko Tsukino held her hand. "No, we have to leave here as soon as possible." Ring, ring, ring. Ring, ring, ring. Just then, Long Bing's other phone suddenly rang. That was the phone she used to contact her colleagues in 101 innings. Chapter 9, 61. Sayamu's sudden arrival brought his speculation. If he wasn't sure and didn't realize the seriousness of the problem, he wouldn't have come to the safe house that Akiko Tsukino prepared for Long Bing. His arrival itself showed the seriousness of the problem. At this time, her colleague from 101 innings suddenly called again. Long Bing's mood suddenly became nervous. All signs showed that Murphy's Law seemed to be coming true. Long Bing took out the mobile phone that was used to contact her colleague from 101 innings and slid the answer button. "It's me." "Speak." "Boss, we." The voice suddenly stopped. "Hello," Long Bing said loudly. "Hello? What happened? Speak quickly." The phone was cut off. Long Bing was stunned on the spot with the mobile phone in her hand. This was not a normal situation. She also had a bad feeling in her heart. Something had happened to her colleague, who came to Japan with her. We have to get out of here. Akiko Tsukino also realized something. Her tone was also full of anxiety and worry. Long Bing put away her mobile phone. Let's get out of here. I'll call Charlotte on the way. Akiko Tsukino said, Are you sure you want to call him? You should know that as soon as you call, he will definitely come here. Long Bing wanted to call Charlotte. Her purpose was not to let Charlotte come over to help her. She wanted to tell Charlotte that there might be a very powerful spy lurking in Rema Group. Akiko Tsukino obviously misunderstood. Sayemu said, Let's discuss this matter later. If something happens at Haneda Airport, it is very likely that here. Do-do-do. Akiko Tsukino's satellite phone suddenly rang. She didn't hesitate at all. She then answered the phone. She only said one word, Speak. Something's wrong. Leave the safe house. Angumi Khan's voice came from the satellite phone. There's a powerful figure in the enemy's camp. He might have found me. I have to leave this place. I'll go back to the backup safe house, and we'll meet there. Akiko Tsukino hung up the phone. Something happened. We have to get out of here immediately. Suddenly, the sound of tires screeching against the ground came from outside the door. It wasn't one car braking at the same time, but several cars. In the living room, the three of them looked at each other with grave expressions. However, with just a glance, Long Bing dodged to the side of the door and windows that could directly shoot at her. Sayemu did the same, avoiding the direction where the gunman could directly shoot at. Akiko Tsukino walked quickly to the television wall and pressed a button that was disguised as a decoration. The television wall suddenly opened, and a hidden space appeared behind it. It was a small arsenal. Several gun racks were full of guns, and they were not ordinary weapons. They were all weapons produced by the Rema Group. There was an XL 2500 sniper rifle, a Gale assault rifle, a Viper pistol, and even a Hellhound cannon. There were two of each type of weapon. Akiko Tsukino grabbed a Gale assault rifle and threw it to Sayemu. She also took a Gale assault rifle for herself. Long Bing said, Give me the XL 2500 sniper rifle and the Hellhound cannon. Akiko Tsukino showed an exaggerated expression, but she still took the weapons that Long Bing wanted and gave them to her. Then, the three of them took their own ammunition. At the same time, more than 20 gunmen in plain clothes carrying assault rifles and submachine guns covered each other as they approached the fence of the safe house. After entering the yard, the 20 gunmen were divided into 3 teams. One team crouched down and moved under the window. One team went around the wall and sneaked behind the house, and the last team came to the door of the living room. One of the commanders made a hand signal, and a gunman came to the door with a door cracker. On both sides of the door, several gunmen pressed their backs against the wall, waiting for the moment the door opened. The gunman wielding the door breaker raised the door breaker and smashed it against the iron door. Bang, bang, bang. Gunshots suddenly came from inside the house. The iron door trembled, and the gunman with the door cracker fell to the ground. Although he was wearing a bulletproof vest, his face was not. A steel core bullet that penetrated the iron door left a red dot on his forehead that Indians liked the most. Attack! The commander was enraged and decisively gave the order. Bang, bang, bang. Da-da-da. The gunshots were so loud that it felt like New Year's Eve had arrived early and every family was setting off firecrackers. Amidst the concentrated gunfire, bullets flew into the space inside the house like raindrops. Nippon is a country with many earthquakes, so the materials used to build houses are mainly light building materials, which simply cannot withstand the impact of bullets. For a time, televisions, sofas, wallboards, chandeliers, etc., were shattered in the storm of bullets. Countless fragments flew in the air and bounced on the floor. This degree of intensive shooting, let alone a person, even a frog would find it difficult to survive. A round of attack quickly ended, and the gunman outside the house changed ammunition. The commander made a hand signal, and a gunman with an 89 assault rifle made by Nippon Towa Industries carefully stood up from under the wall beside the door, and then kicked the door. Boom! The iron door, which was already riddled with holes and seemed to be hesitant to speak, was kicked open with a kick. There were no targets to attack in the living room at the door, and there were no bodies on the ground. The wooden floor was full of bullet holes and fragments of various appliances and furniture. It was a mess. The gunman who kicked the door made a gesture and then entered the house. The commander waved his right arm, and the gunman at the door quickly entered the house and searched every room in the house. The doors were kicked open, but there was still no one in those rooms. The house has been surrounded. Unless it was invisible, how could the people in the house suddenly disappear? Just then, a gunman suddenly pointed to a floor behind the TV wall. The floor was 2 centimeters above the ground, and it was not easy to find it without looking carefully. The commander made a silent gesture, and then carefully approached the floor that emerged from the ground. He soon discovered that it was actually a tunnel cover disguised as a floor. The commander did not reach out to lift the cover, but picked up the '89 assault rifle in his hand. Bang, bang, bang. As soon as the commander fired, the gunmen around the floor also fired at the cover. For a time, sawdust flew everywhere, and the tunnel cover disguised as a floor was shot into pieces in the blink of an eye. A tunnel entrance also appeared, and there was a woman's shoe in the passage. The woman's shoe explained one thing. That is, she just fled in panic. Go down. The commander no longer used the hand signal. A gunman followed to the entrance of the tunnel, and he stepped on the iron ladder embedded in the cement wall to go down. At this moment, the gunman who had circled to the back of the house also came in from the back door, followed by the gunmen who were guarding the windows. All the gunmen gathered in the area behind the TV wall, waiting to enter the tunnel to continue their pursuit of the escaped target. It's very deep. The gunman who entered the tunnel observed for a moment, then raised his head and said, I can't see the bottom. They must have escaped through here. Let's split into 2 teams. One team will search along the tunnel's direction, and the other team will search in the tunnel. Mai-san said that we can't let a single one of them go, especially that Ryu woman. We must capture her alive. Yes, the gunman shouted. Boom! A grenade suddenly fell from the ceiling. Many of the gunmen saw it, but before they could react, boom! There was an explosion, and a group of gunmen were instantly thrown to the ground. The ones in the center of the explosion died the worst, their bodies mangled. A severed arm smashed through the glass window and flew into the courtyard. On the ceiling, fire. The commander who had been hit in the leg by the shrapnel roared as he raised his gun and fired. The gunmen who were still alive madly fired at the ceiling, and under the dense barrage of bullets, the wooden ceiling shattered and fell down, causing a rain of wood to fall in the narrow space. There were only wooden tiles, and no one fell from the ceiling. Bang, bang, bang. Suddenly, a hail of bullets came from the back window, and someone was instantly shot and fell to the ground. The ambush only lasted for 2 seconds, and the person who ambushed them didn't even finish firing a single clip before hiding. By the time the gunmen went to search for him, they only saw a broken glass window and a wisp of blue smoke floating in front of it. There were people on the roof, and there were people behind the house. Even though the gunmen had the absolute advantage in both numbers and firepower, they were forced into a passive situation. It felt like a clumsy fatty was being beaten up by an agile, thin person. Retreat, the commander roared. He was afraid. Half of his men were already dead or injured. If they continued to stay in this house, he believed that the battle would soon end, and that they would be the ones dying, not the other side. However, just as more than a dozen surviving gunmen were shooting at the roof and the back of the house while retreating, a shell suddenly flew from the direction of the door. The shell hit the back of the commander, who was the first to retreat. The moment the shell hit his body, his whole body was torn apart and shattered. The energy shock wave released by the shell overturned everyone in the house, and then the whole house. In just a second, the whole house was razed to the ground. The one who fired the cannon was Long Bing. The one who ambushed from the back of the house was Sayamo. The one who ambushed from the roof was Akiko Tsukino. Before Long Bing fired the cannon, she left the roof and came to Long Bing's side. This house was a safe house built by Akiko Tsukino. How could a ninja's house not have a few safe passages? Just now, the gunmen thought that they had surrounded Akiko Tsukino, but they didn't expect that they were actually surrounded by Akiko Tsukino, Sayamo, and Long Bing. Who are these guys? Long Bing put down the hellhound cannon that was still smoking. Akiko Tsukino said, "The weapons they're using are from the ground self-defense forces. They are probably the special forces of the ground self-defense forces. Of course, we can't rule out that they are people from the intelligence department." Long Bing was silent for a moment. "No matter what, I have to call Charlotte. I have to tell him that there is a spy lurking in Rema Group, and a very powerful spy." Simon said, "Let's go. We'll talk on the road. There was an explosion here, and the enemy's reinforcements will arrive soon." The three of them walked to the side of the road. Simon got on his motorcycle. "Ladies, take my car. I'm good at riding." Akiko Tsukino gave Sayemu a middle finger and then loaded into a Toyota Lucuz driven by gunmen. Long Bing spread her hands to Sayemu and also got into the Toyota Lucuz. There may be a positioning device in this car, but it was not difficult for Long's section chief of 101 innings because this was her profession. Fong Tian Lucuz let out a roar and flew forward. Sayemu followed closely behind, as fast as lightning. Chapter 962. After answering a phone call, Charlotte's mood became bad. The phone call was from Long Bing in Japan. Rema Group's new material might have been leaked. Long Bing was ambushed as soon as she arrived in Japan, and several of her men were missing. If Akiko Tsukino hadn't been prepared, she might have been captured alive or even killed. No matter which of these two incidents, the spearhead was pointed at a certain person. This person might be a spy. Rema Group had been involved in several spy incidents, and no matter what he did, he couldn't stop the spy incidents from happening. The reason was very simple. Rema Group was expanding too fast. Every time it expanded, it needed to recruit a large number of people, and it was impossible for him to investigate every person's details very clearly in the future. And if he investigated the deception, those files might also be forged. Another reason was that Rema Group had threatened the strategic interests of the United States and its allies. So it was normal for the United States and its allies to send spies to Rema Group to carry out espionage activities. Moreover, the spies sent by the United States and its allies must have been systematically trained, or even the top spies who had been through hundreds of battles. They were not comparable to the ordinary workers bought by Mu Jianfeng and Yi Kuan. This spy had been lurking in Rema Group and had not taken any obvious action. He was collecting information and waiting at the same time. Before the birth of the new material, he hid very well. But after the birth of the new material, he was a little impatient. Perhaps it wasn't that he was impatient, but that the people who sent him or the country were impatient. Spy. Who is he? In the office building of Rema Group's headquarters, Charlotte sat in his office and was lost in thought. Faces appeared in his mind, familiar and unfamiliar. As long as he had seen them, he didn't miss a single one. After a while, Liang Xiao came in. She didn't speak, closed the door, and then walked to Charlotte's side. Charlotte said, "Do you already know?" Liang Xiao nodded. "Sayemu shared the information with me." "Who do you think it is?" Before, the other members of the Zodiac team didn't know that the pig was Liang Xiao. After Charlotte asked her to resign from 101 innings, the other members of the Zodiac team learned the secret. This was also the reason why Sayemu shared the information with Liang Xiao. What he did was right. Liang Xiao was Charlotte's woman, and she was by Charlotte's side. If the spy learned what had been discovered, it was very likely that he would do something dangerous, so he had to be on guard. "I've just now, but I'm not sure who it is." A bitter smile appeared on the corner of Charlotte's mouth. "The other party is a very powerful person, and he hides his strength very deeply." He had his reasons for saying this. He used his brain to comb through all the personnel of the Rema Group headquarters in the capital, and the spy was one of them. But even with his brain in his eyes, he couldn't find any clues. "Don't you even have a suspect?" Liang Xiao said. Charlotte said, "No, I really don't know who to suspect." "Me," Liang Xiao said. Charlotte was stunned for a moment. "What nonsense are you talking about? Don't say such things again. I don't want to hear it." Liang Xiao used to be a spy lurking around him, and that past had hurt him. Now that the scar had been healed with great difficulty, Liang Xiao's words had opened it again. However, Liang Xiao stubbornly said, I'm serious. From now on, including me, no matter who it is, you have to suspect them. Charlotte was a little angry. Don't you understand? I don't want to mention that matter anymore. So why do you still have to bring it up? I'm even more unwilling to mention it than you are. Liang Xiao said, but I want to tell you that there is no such thing as family in the world of spies. Even if it's me, you have to be included in the scope of suspicion. You can't miss a single person. From now on, you have to recheck everyone's information. First, put the problematic people together, and then investigate them step by step until we find that guy. Hearing her say this, Charlotte's mood improved a little. Just now, when he said to her, including herself, he was really afraid that she would tell him that the spy was her. No, Xiao. After a short silence, Charlotte said, it's enough that you know about this matter. Don't take any action for now. Liang Xiao was stunned. Why? This is a very critical period. If we don't find that guy, he will threaten you and the Rema group. If we take action now, it's very likely that we will beat the grass and alert the snake. Charlotte said, it's not that we don't take action, but we need to have a plan. Are you talking about luring the snake out? Liang Xiao's ability to understand had always been very strong. Charlotte nodded. That's what I mean. That guy has been lurking in the Rema group until the new material was successfully researched. His target is my new material. Once I set the bait, this big fish will take the bait. A smile finally appeared on Liang Xiao's face. Okay, then I'll listen to you. I won't start the investigation on my side. But if you have a plan, you must tell me. I want to take action with you. Charlotte said, I already have a plan. What plan? Tell me about it. Liang Xiao moved closer to him. Charlotte suddenly grabbed her hand and pulled her into his arms. Liang Xiao lay on his thigh. Her plump buttocks were raised high, forming an attractive curve with her slender waist. But he didn't have the slightest bit of tenderness for the fairer sex. He went back and slapped the long side of Liang Xiao's buttocks. He didn't use much strength at all, but Liang Xiao's buttocks made a loud sound. In this crisp sound, Liang Xiao's white jade dumpling gently rippled, creating a beautiful ripple. Liang Xiao bit her cherry lips and looked back at Charlotte with a wronged expression. Honey, why did you hit me? Charlotte put on a serious face. If you mention that again in the future, I'll beat your buttocks. I'll let it go this time. Then I won't mention it in the future. Don't hit my buttocks in the future. I'm your wife. Wives are to be loved, not to be beaten. If you hit me again, I'll tell your son. Liang Xiao looked pitiful, but she was happy in her heart. This kind of punishment had nothing to do with domestic violence at all. It was purely the fun between husband and wife in the bedroom. It was a flirting. Wait, what do you want to say? Charlotte slapped Liang Xiao's white jade dumpling again, and his palm stayed on Liang Xiao's white jade dumpling for at least 2 seconds. Why did you hit me again? Liang Xiao said gloomily. Charlotte said, you told me not to hit your buttocks in the future, but I have something I like to hit your buttocks. So now I hit you more. Is there a problem? Liang Xiao was speechless. Charlotte let go of Liang Xiao. Xiao, Long Bing is in danger now. I want to go to Japan and bring her back. Liang Xiao suddenly became nervous. No, you can't go to Japan. I won't agree. If someone has to bring Long Bing back, then I'll go. Stop fooling around, Xiao. I'm serious, Charlotte said. Liang Xiao also said, I'm serious too. You. Charlotte didn't know what to say. How about this? We each take a step back. I'll call her first and see if I can convince her. If I can't convince her, we'll think of another way, Liang Xiao said. Charlotte nodded. Okay, then hurry up. I'm going to give up Bing. Liang Xiao suddenly covered her mouth and ran to the bathroom. Xiao, what's wrong? Charlotte immediately became nervous as he followed her. Liang Xiao leaned against the wall and vomited into the toilet, but all she vomited was water. Charlotte suddenly understood what was going on. He gently patted Liang Xiao's back. Did the little guy torture you again? When he's born, I'll spank him. Liang Xiao's heart warmed, and she stopped vomiting. Charlotte said with a smile, Look at you. You're still thinking about going to Japan in this state. I won't let you have such thoughts again. If you fall into the hands of the Japanese, who am I going to complain to? Liang Xiao nodded. You're not allowed to go either. If something happens to you, what will happen to us, 4 pregnant women? Charlotte wanted to nod and agree, but when he thought of Long Bing, he felt like there was a wooden stick under his chin. He couldn't nod no matter how hard he tried. At this moment, Ching Sayue's voice came from the office. Chairman Xia, Elder Fan wants to see you. Charlotte was slightly stunned. When did she come back? Didn't she go to Haiju base? Liang Xiao said, I transferred her back. I'm pregnant, and my belly is getting bigger day by day. I don't dare to work like before, so I transferred her back to help me. Hurry up and go see Elder Fan. I'm much better now. Then I'll go. Charlotte left the bathroom. Qin Kaiwa looked at Charlotte with a smile and said sweetly, Chairman Xia, Elder Fan is in the material laboratory. He asked me to call you over. Okay, I'll be right there. Charlotte said, Chairman Xia, your tie is crooked. Let me fix it for you. Qin Kaiwa came over. At this time, Liang Xiao walked out of the bathroom. She didn't say anything and just looked at Qin Kaiwa. When Qin Kaiwa saw Liang Xiao, she was like a mouse that saw a cat. She hurriedly stopped and said awkwardly, Oh, it's not crooked. Charlotte quickly left. Liang Xiao said, Secretary Qing, I have a few orders on my desk that need to be verified with the client. You can handle them. Okay, Director Liang. Qin Kaiwa turned around and left. When her back was facing Liang Xiao, her lipstick-covered lips were raised high. Liang Xiao frowned. Vixen, when this time is over, I'll fire you. Charlotte left the office and walked to the material laboratory. As he walked, he pondered the identity of the spy. Who is he? A man or a woman? There are many people who know that the X-secret metal has been successfully researched. However, there are very few who know that Long Bing went to Japan for a mission. The spy obviously knows about these 2 things. Who would fit the criteria? This kind of analysis seemed useful, but in reality, it was useless. On the day that the X-secret metal was researched, almost all the employees in the Kyoto headquarters knew about it. If there was a need to suspect, then all the employees were worthy of suspicion. And the fact that Long Bing went to Japan for a mission was very secretive. The people in 101 innings definitely knew about it. If the problem was there, then his suspicion would be useless. However, it would be very difficult to find this person among the people around him. A very simple problem was that the people who knew about this were all his women. How could he suspect them? Chapter 963. You're finally here. As soon as Charlotte reached the entrance of the laboratory, he was pulled into the materials laboratory by Fan Yiming, who had been waiting for him. Grandpa, why are you looking for me? Charlotte asked. Fan Yiming glanced at the other staff in the laboratory. His lips moved, but he didn't say anything. He pulled Charlotte by the hand and led him into another room. Charlotte had some guesses in his heart. He asked tentatively, Grandpa, what's the matter? You're already calling me Grandpa. Fan also told me that I'm going to be a great grandpa, right? Fan Yiming stared straight at Charlotte. Charlotte was a little embarrassed. Yes, Grandpa. Fan has a child. We're a family now, right? Fan Yiming said. Charlotte nodded. Of course, we're a family. At this moment, he understood why Fan Yiming was looking for him and why he was called here to talk. Sure enough, after beating around the bush, Fan Yiming cut to the chase. Tell Grandpa, how did you solve the stability problem of Alloy X? Charlotte was speechless. Tell me, Fan Yiming urged, looking very anxious. Charlotte said, Grandpa, it's not that I don't want to tell you. It's just that the time isn't right. The time isn't right? Fan Yiming frowned. When are you going to tell me? Noon? Or before you get off work in the afternoon? Suddenly, footsteps came from outside the door. They were very light footsteps. Charlotte's gaze moved to the direction of the door. His left eye moved slightly, awakening his X-ray ability. A woman entered his line of sight. She was holding a cardboard box in her hands. The cardboard box was filled with glassware. She walked very carefully, as if she was afraid that the cardboard box in her hands would slip and fall. She passed by the door, but didn't stop. She walked straight to the other end of the aisle. Charlotte retracted his gaze. The spy incident made him a little paranoid. The slightest suspicious sign would arouse his suspicion. Tell me, when are you going to tell me? Fan Yiming had no idea what Charlotte was observing. Charlotte said, "Grandpa, how about this? I'll tell you on the day I marry Fan Fan. I'll treat it as my betrothal gift. What do you think? You're afraid that the secret will be leaked, right?" Fan Yiming looked a little displeased. Charlotte said, "Grandpa, we are family. How can I not believe you? It's just that." Fan Yiming didn't have the ability to counter espionage, so he couldn't let Fan Yiming know that there was a spy in Rema Group for the time being. "Don't call me Grandpa. My granddaughter is not marrying you. I don't agree," Fan Yiming said as he observed Charlotte's reaction. Charlotte smiled. "All right, Grandpa, you go ahead. I'll go take a look at the workshop. I really won't let Fan Fan marry you. You have to think carefully." Fan Yiming was like a child at this moment. This was the first time he used his precious granddaughter to threaten Charlotte, but the effect was close to zero. Charlotte turned around and smiled. "Grandpa, do you want me to tell Fan Fan what you just said?" "Huh?" Fan Yiming panicked and waved his hands. No, I was just kidding. I was just kidding too. It's decided then. Grandpa, when I marry Fan Fan, I'll give that secret to you as a betrothal gift." Charlotte said, "Don't lie to me. When have I ever lied to you? You tricked my granddaughter into marrying you, but you haven't lied to me? You stinking brat. You're not even a little bit meaningful." Fan Yiming muttered. Charlotte didn't want to tangle with him anymore, so he left the room. Director Xia, in the materials lab, Eugene Lee greeted Charlotte. Charlotte nodded. "What have you been doing these 2 days?" Eugene Lee said, "The research on Alloy X has been successfully completed, and the experimental phase has ended. I'm preparing for the production phase. Director Xia, you want the most advanced materials workshop in the country, so I have to give you a proposal before the machines and equipment come back." Charlotte's face showed a hint of a smile. "Yes, you do need a proposal. Right, you should refer to the experience of other countries. Our country's material science has always been very backward, and there are many successful examples from other countries. You should refer to them and learn from them." "I know, Director Xia. Don't worry. I'll give you a proposal that you'll be satisfied with." After a pause, Eugene Lee said, "However, I don't know the specific process, so the proposal may not cover the specific areas of production." Charlotte's gaze fell on Eugene Lee's chest. His left eye's vision instantly penetrated Eugene Lee's chest and reached his heart. Eugene Lee's heart was beating normally, and there were no signs of it being too fast. By observing the speed of the heart to determine whether a person was lying or not, this was a lie detection method that Charlotte learned very early on. Of course, he did this under the influence of Liang Xiao. Liang Xiao was the best spy in the CIB, and she had a lot of anti-espionage experience. She reminded him to suspect everyone, including her. How could Eugene Lee be excluded? "Director Xiao?" Eugene Lee said. Charlotte retracted his gaze. "Yes, it's okay. Just do what you can do now, and I'll finish the rest when the time comes." "Okay, then." Eugene Lee smiled. "I look forward to the day when the secret is solved. Director Xia, as a Chinese, I'm extremely proud to be able to work for you and participate in the research of Alloy X," said Xiaolei. Charlotte patted him on the shoulder. "Do your best, and we'll change this era together." "Yes." Eugene Lee nodded heavily. Charlotte left the material lab, but he didn't go to the workshop. Instead, he walked out of the Rema Group's headquarters in the capital and came to the church that was under construction next to the Peace Mansion. The construction workers were busy at the construction site, and there were also some unfamiliar faces on the site. There were white people, black people, and some other people of color. Their presence gave this place a sense of United Nations. They were all believers of Catholicism and fanatics at that. They had answered the call of the Gray family and the Russo sisters from all over the world to come here. Giovanna, Rosa, Stella, and Teresa's goal was to build an armed force that belonged to Charlotte, and these fanatics would be the cornerstone of this force. Charlotte's gaze swept across the strange faces of different colors, and he thought to himself, will the spy appear among these people? He was really paranoid. Liang Xiao's influence was too deep, and he suspected that everyone was a spy. The Gray and Russo sisters saw Charlotte and walked over together. 4 female knights with blonde hair and blue eyes. 2 of them were the same, curvy in front and curvy in the back, sexy and seductive. When they walked together, people would definitely not think of devout beliefs or the glory of knights. Instead, they would only think of some messy imaginations. Xia, it's rare to see you here. Why are you here today? Giovanna had a charming smile on her face and spoke in pure Italian. The 4 female knights were learning Chinese, but it was the most difficult language in the world. They couldn't communicate with each other at their level. Charlotte said, I'm here to see when it will be finished. It still needs 3 months, Teresa said. Charlotte looked at the huge church that was at least 50 acres in size, and a wry smile appeared on his face. You're building the Church of the Holy Family in Catalonia, right? You're exaggerating. It takes a few years to build a church. We're building our own Church of the Holy Thunder, Stella said. Church of the Holy Thunder? Charlotte heard this name for the first time. Stella nodded. Yes, Church of the Holy Thunder. We're naming this church after you. Charlotte said, How can that be? I'm not even a Catholic. How can this church be named after me? Giovanna said, Faith should not be limited to believers and non-believers. We believe that you are the one chosen by God, and you have a mission. My mission? Charlotte couldn't help but laugh. What mission did God give me? Giovanna said, We don't know yet, but there will be a day when it comes. We are now preparing for that day, and we are your knights. We will protect you and obey your wishes. Are you for the Knights of the Apocalypse? Charlotte joked. Teresa raised the corner of her mouth. Xia, don't make such a joke. The 4 Knights of the Apocalypse are gods, symbols of the end of the world. Their appearance means that human beings have entered the end of a reincarnation cycle, and the end of the world will come. Charlotte shrugged. Well, I came here not only to see your church, but also to tell you. After a pause, he said, I used your identity to open an account in an American securities company and trade in the American stock market. If you don't want to, I'll cancel them. The 4 female knights shook their heads together. Charlotte said, You don't want to? Giovanna said, Everything we have is yours. You can use whatever you want. Such words were full of imagination. Charlotte was a little embarrassed. That's it then. You do your work. I'm going back. Giovanna said, Xia, I'm serious. Charlotte nodded. He seemed to know what Giovanna meant, but he didn't understand. When a woman said something like that, when a man felt that it was a hint, it wasn't. When a man felt that it wasn't a hint, it was a hint. These people you see are the most devout believers. If you ask them to do something, they will do it without hesitation, Rosa said. Charlotte nodded again. This time, he completely understood what Rosa meant. That's it then. Giovanna scooted over and hugged Xiaolei. Then, she planted a kiss on his cheek. After Giovanna, Rosa, Stella, and Teresa did the same. Charlotte subconsciously looked back at the office building, afraid that Liang Xiao would see. Pregnant women tended to get jealous easily, and he didn't want to upset Liang Xiao's jealousy. Although the 4 female knights only said goodbye to him with Western etiquette. After leaving the construction site, Charlotte went to the Peace Mansion. But after a few steps, he stopped. In his sight, a silver Rolls-Royce Phantom was driving towards him from White's Tag. The one driving wasn't Fu Mingmei, but Shinta Tianyin. Charlotte's head hurt a little. What did she want? It's just that it's really dangerous for you to go to America. Have you forgotten how the CIA kidnapped you? They'll do anything to achieve their goals. Of course I remember. I'll never forget it. At that time, I was actually not afraid at all, because the man who came to save me was an unparalleled hero. Shinta Tianyin's gaze once again fell on Xiaolei. Promise me that you won't go to America. Why should I promise you? I'm just an ex-wife, Shinta Tianyin said. Charlotte, although she was no longer his wife, if something really happened to her, he would definitely go and help. If she was kidnapped by the CIB, he would definitely try his best to save her. But the best way to deal with it was not to go to America and stay away from trouble and danger. But why didn't she listen to his advice? She had to make a simple problem complicated. The Rolls-Royce Phantom was inexplicably quiet. The man and woman in the car didn't know what to say. In the end, It was Charlotte who broke the silence and awkwardness. Aren't we going to eat? We can't eat like this. Tianyin smiled lightly, then started the car and drove forward. Well, I'll take that as a promise, okay? Charlotte said. Tianyin raised the corner of his mouth and looked like a disobedient little girl. I can promise you, but you have to convince me. Okay, I'll tell you my opinion. Charlotte said, although the United States is known as the most prosperous, fairest, and freest market in the world, that's only for Americans. It's only for European capital. China's capital, including private capital, is actually excluded from fairness and freedom. If the Wanxiang Group wants to enter the American market, you first have to face the rejection of the local capital and the trade barriers erected by the United States. They can find any reason to investigate you and issue a sky-high fine to the Wanxiang Group. They can even frame you for stealing sensitive technology or equipment and throw you in jail. Is it that exaggerated? Tianyin didn't believe it. Charlotte said, I may be exaggerating a bit, but you have to admit that what I said is the truth. Racism has always existed in Europe and the United States. They look down on black people, Middle Eastern people, and Chinese. That's the case for people, not to mention capital related to direct interests. Don't you have so much capital to invest in the United States and Europe? I know it's hard to convince you in a short time. Just think about it. Charlotte said, I'll think about it, but what? It's not enough to convince me. You have to give me some benefits. What benefits do you want? Charlotte had a headache. I'll tell you when I think about it. Tianyin said. What benefits does she want? Charlotte couldn't guess, and he didn't want to guess. Half an hour later, the Rolls-Royce Phantom arrived in the downtown area of the capital. Tianyin had already booked a restaurant. It was a famous Western restaurant in the capital, but it only served 2 customers today. One was Tianyin, and the other was Charlotte. During the meal, Tianyin didn't mention what benefits she wanted. Her eyes were fixed on Charlotte, almost never moving away. In front of the queen was a plate of tomahawk steak and a glass of 1982 Lafite, but the queen's attention wasn't on the beef or the wine, but on the man in front of her. Promise me, don't go to the United States. Charlotte didn't give up. Then give me some benefits. Tianyin took a sip of red wine. She looked very elegant when she drank. Charlotte smiled bitterly. Okay, tell me, what do you want? I want. She already had the answer in her heart, but it was difficult to say it out loud. But at this moment, a woman walked into the restaurant. She took a look and strode over to the table where Charlotte and Tianyin were eating. The waiter of the restaurant wanted to stop her, but she didn't even pay attention to him. Hearing the waiter's voice, Charlotte and Tianyin looked over at almost the same time, and both of them were slightly stunned. It wasn't Liang Xiao who came to catch the adulterer, but Tang Yuyin. Before Tang Yuyin got close, Tianyin frowned. What is she doing here? It wasn't easy for her to have a meal with her ex-husband. Instead of Liang Xiao, Tang Yuyin came. Her mood suddenly became bad. You two are in a good mood, booking the restaurant to enjoy the world of the two of you. Tang Yuyin said with a smile. Charlotte said to the waiter, It's okay. You go do your thing. We know each other. The waiter nodded. Wait, give me a steak with some truffles and some foie gras. I want it French, Tang Yuyin said. Okay, miss, please wait a moment. The waiter left. Tianyin said lightly, You are really picky. Truffles and foie gras are not cheap. Tang Yuyin looked at Charlotte and said, You will pay for me, right? You can eat whatever you want. Charlotte said, Tell me, why are you looking for me? Tang Yuyin looked at Tianyin and didn't say anything. Tianyin said unhappily, Tang Yuyin, I invited my ex-husband to dinner, and I booked the restaurant. Are you trying to drive me away? Tang Yuyin said, Tianyin, I think you should blame Liang Xiao and Fan Fan. Well, Long Bing and Jiang Rui, not me. They're going to be mothers soon. Your ex-husband is going to be the father of 4 children. I have nothing to do with your ex-husband. Why are you yelling at me? Tianyin was stunned on the spot, and her eyes suddenly became misty. She was not as well informed as the director of 101 Innings. If Tang Yuyin didn't say it, she wouldn't know that Charlotte had made Liang Xiao, Fan Fan, Long Bing, and Jiang Rui pregnant with his children. Is this true? Shinta Tianin's voice trembled. Charlotte nodded and admitted it. There was nothing to hide, and there was no need to. Liang Xiao, Fan Fan, Jiang Rui, and Long Bing were his women, and they were all pregnant with his children. He couldn't give each of them the certificate of his wife, but in his heart, they were all his wives. There was no difference. He dared to admit it on any occasion and in front of anyone. Let's talk another day. I'm full. Shida Tianin got up and left. Charlotte didn't say anything. He just watched her leave, and then he looked at Tang Yuyan. Is this why you came here? Tang Yuyan said, I'm not that bored. I came to talk to you about the spy. You already know? It's strange that the director of 101 Innings, found out after you. Do you want to keep me in the dark all the time? Tang Yuyan said. Although she didn't say the source of the information, Charlotte knew that it must be Long Bing who submitted the information to 101 Innings. After all, she was still a person from 101 Innings. The appearance of a spy in Rema Group was related to the national interest, so she couldn't hide it. She wouldn't hide it either. Tell me, what are you going to do? Tang Yuyan asked. Charlotte said, I'm thinking of a way. I'll tell you when I think of something. Tang Yuyan curled up the corner of her mouth. You must have started to take action, but you just don't want to tell me, right? I'm telling the truth. It's up to you whether you believe it or not. I just don't believe it. Then there's nothing I can do, Charlotte said. In addition, since you already know about the spy, you must also know that Long Bing is in danger in Japan, right? What are you going to do? I can't send more agents to Japan because this operation can't be seen in the light. If the Japanese get hold of it, we'll be in a passive position in diplomacy. Whether to send people or not, I can't make the decision. Tang Yuyan said. Charlotte sighed in his heart. He felt that the Tang Yuyan in front of him was becoming more and more unfamiliar. Long Bing is the most powerful agent in 101 Innings. She will take care of herself. What we have to solve now is the problem of the spy in Rema Group. I'm personally responsible for this matter. Before coming, I've checked the information of all the people in Rema Group, and there's no one worthy of suspicion. This is an expert, but I must find him within a week. Tang Yuyan said, That's your business. You deal with it yourself. Also, I remind you not to rashly enter Rema Group to carry out an investigation. That will alert the enemy. Charlotte said and then got up. You eat slowly. I'm also full. Goodbye. You. Tang Yuyan suddenly became angry on the spot. Charlotte turned and left without looking back. Chapter 965. When he walked out of the restaurant, Charlotte didn't see Shinta Tianin's Rolls-Royce Phantom. He called her, but she didn't pick up. He was a little worried that she would let her emotions get the best of her and not listen to his advice to go to America. However, Shinta Tianin didn't even pick up his phone, so there was no point in worrying. He was a little depressed. Who had he offended by living with his woman and having children? Be it Shinta Tianin or Tang Yuyan, they all treated him as if he had committed a grave sin. Sometimes it was hard to love someone, and it was also hard not to love someone. When he returned to Ping and residence, Charlotte saw Fan Fan and Liang Xiao talking at the door of his study. Seeing him come back, the two women with big bellies shut their mouths and stared at him. Their eyes were like the eyes of a Scottish fold cat. Charlotte smiled bitterly. Some of that? I'll be honest. I want to have a meal with Shinta Tianin. The Wanxiang Corporation is going to be listed in America, and she wants to go there, but I told her not to. Later, Tang Yuyan also came to talk about that matter. We chatted for a while, but it wasn't very pleasant, so I came back. A married couple's relationship needed two people to protect it. However, in Charlotte's case, a married couple's relationship needed several people to protect it. As a man, he had to be more proactive. Sure enough, with his confession, the two pregnant women, Liang Xiao and Fan Fan, couldn't bear to punish him harshly. Liang Xiao rolled her eyes at Charlotte. We didn't ask you who you went to have a meal with. You and Shinta Tianin are husband and wife, so it's only right that you care about her. You're our man. Don't we know what kind of person you are? You're a loyal person, so it's normal for you to remember old times. Charlotte smiled. Xiao, you're so nice. She was becoming more and more magnanimous, which was really a good thing. What about me? Fan Fan said. Charlotte walked over and put his arms around the shoulders of the two women with big bellies. Good. You're good too. Our Xia family's women are good too. Only then did the two pregnant women smile. Charlotte said, By the way, I haven't eaten at all. I'm still hungry. Is there anything to eat? I'll make a bowl of noodles for you. You can talk to Sister Fan Fan. She's also here to talk to you about the spy. Liang Xiao said, and then went to the kitchen. There was actually a chef in Ping in residence, but Liang Xiao preferred to cook for Charlotte personally. Fan Fan took Charlotte's arm and walked into the living room. Then she sat on his lap. Charlotte enjoyed the gentle squeeze of her plump and soft white jade balls as he joked. Honey, is this how you talk business with me? Fanfan's arrival was definitely an order from the higher-ups. There was no need to guess at all. Fan Fan said, Isn't it good for me to talk business with you like this? I'm talking to you like this, and I'm also checking if you're eating. Saying such seductive words, her white jade dumpling squeezed into Xia Lei's arms twice. Then she smiled and said, A dog can still express goodwill to its female owner and beg for food. This situation is normal. Consider it that you didn't steal the food. Charlotte, then I'll get down to business. After teasing Charlotte, Fan Fan said seriously, The higher-ups got the report of 101 innings and specially asked me to come over to ask about the situation. What do they want to know? A lot. They want to know everything. Who do you suspect? Which country is the spy from? Etc. If you know, tell me, Fan Fan said. Charlotte said, There's no suspect yet. Tang Yuyan said that she has checked everyone's information, but unfortunately, she didn't find anyone suspicious. Fan Fan frowned. Even Tang Yuyan couldn't find out. This person is very powerful. Charlotte said, Yes, he should have been lurking around me for a long time, but I didn't notice it. This time, I really met a master. Tell the truth to the higher-ups, but tell them not to worry. I can solve this problem. Fan Fan nodded. You have to be careful. Be careful, or he will... Charlotte interrupted her. I want him to make a move. Once he makes a move, he will be exposed. I'm most worried about you and Xiao. Be careful during this time. It's best to bring a bodyguard when you go out. If it's not convenient for you to have a bodyguard, I'll ask the 4 knights to protect you. I don't want it. I just need a call from the bodyguard. You don't have to worry about me. Take care of Xiao. She's also in the company. The spy may be around her, said Fan Fan. At this time, Fan Fan came in and said with a smile, Honey, do you want noodles or Sister Fan Fan? Noodles, said Charlotte. He was hinting that Fan Fan should get off him. However, Fan Fan reached out and took the noodles that Liang Xiao had put on the tea table. She said with a smile, You're so good today. I'll feed you. Charlotte, Liang Xiao said, Don't spoil him. What will you do if he needs to be fed by you in the future? Fan Fan said with a smile, I'm not spoiling him. I'll let him feed us next time. Well, that's no problem. Liang Xiao laughed. What kind of standard was that? Charlotte felt that the noodles were very hot, and so were Fanfan's white jade dumplings. After sending off Fan Fan, Charlotte and Liang Xiao went to the company. When he arrived at the office, Charlotte hesitated for a moment, but he still used the satellite phone to call Long Bing's number. Tokyo, Japan. I'm fine. Don't worry. That was Long Bing's first sentence. It's good that you're fine. Where are you now? Hearing her voice, Charlotte relaxed a little. I'm in Tokyo, in a safe house in the countryside. Long Bing opened the Japanese-style window in front of her. In her sight was a kendo dojo. Several tattooed Yakuza members were fighting with wooden swords. Don't lie to me. I heard the sound of fighting. Charlotte's voice came. Is it a samurai dojo? Long Bing sighed. It's a kendo dojo. It belongs to a small Yakuza organization. Akiko once saved their leader. They promised us to stay here for a few days. You really don't have to worry about anything. Akiko is a local here. She can handle it. Charlotte said, Every member of the Zodiac team is a local. I know this better than you. But you have to know that you are facing the Japanese Intelligence Department, Special Forces, and people from the CIA. You have been exposed. Come back. Don't take any more risks. My people were caught by the Secret Service. I can't leave them behind. This mission is very important to the country. I must complete it. Don't try to persuade me anymore. I promise you that this is my last mission in 101 innings. I don't want my last mission to end in failure, Long Bing said. Bing, listen to me. That's it. I'm hanging up. Don't call again. This will increase the risk of exposure. Long Bing hung up the phone without hesitation. In the Kendo dojo, several Yakuza members had finished their combat training. One of the Yakuza members glanced in the direction of Long Bing's room and said in Japanese, "That woman is a stowaway from China. The president allowed her to stay here for a few days. I've seen her. She's hot." Another said, "She came to Japan illegally. She's probably here to sell her." "Ha ha ha. I bet so. How about we take care of her business first?" Another Yakuza member looked in the direction of Long Bing and smirked. Several Yakuza members quickly reached a consensus and walked together to Long Bing's room. Long Bing closed the Japanese-style window with a slit. She frowned. What were those guys trying to do? Her Japanese ability was so poor that she couldn't communicate. The Japanese interpreter for this operation was arrested. She didn't know how Akiko Tsukino explained to the leader of the small Yakuza. Because of the spy's leak, she had fallen into a very passive situation. Just now, when Charlotte asked her to go back, she wanted to agree for a moment, but her strong character made her erase the idea of going back. Since she was on the battlefield, she would never be a deserter. Just as Long Bing was thinking about the problem, the Japanese-style wooden door was pushed open. Several shirtless Yakuza members in shorts rushed into her room. Long Bing subconsciously took a step back and said in stiff Japanese, "You." She originally wanted to say, "What do you want?" but she didn't know how to say the rest of the words. "China woman, play with me." A Yakuza member smiled wretchedly. A Yakuza member twisted his buttocks and said with a smile, "Let's do it together. You'll feel good." Although she did not understand what the other party was saying, Long Bing understood from the other party's expression and body language. Her eyes immediately turned cold. "I'll help you take off your clothes." A Yakuza member reached out to Long Bing's firm chest. Long Bing suddenly grabbed his wrist and pushed his chest with her other hand. When her palm stopped, the guy who reached out to her already had a saber on his chest. There wasn't even a word of nonsense. "Kill! Kill!" Several Yakuza members were stunned when one of their companions was killed in a face-to-face encounter. Long Bing pulled out the saber, stepped forward, and stabbed a Yakuza member's chest several times. The rest of the Yakuza members came to their senses and turned to run out. A cold light flashed, and a head suddenly flew from the neck of the Yakuza member who ran in front. Before the head fell to the ground, a cold light flashed, and in the blink of an eye, several Yakuza members fell to the ground. Blood flowed from the corpses, and in the blink of an eye, the floor was dyed red. "Ka!" Sheathing the katana, Akiko Tsukino bowed to Long Bing and apologized. "Sorry, Mrs. Long, I came back late." Long Bing wiped the blood off the saber on a corpse. "No need to apologize. Tell me, what did you find out?" "The previous attack on us and the arrest of your men were all directed by my Hattori. She is a member of the Secret Service and has a very high status," Akiko Tsukino said. "Where are my men locked up?" Akiko Tsukino wanted to say something, but stopped. "Tell me." Akiko Tsukino shook her head. "I can't decide this. I have to ask the boss. We have to get out of here. The bodies of these guys will attract the police." "Okay, let's get out of here." Long Bing didn't pester her. She said as she walked, "Is there any news from the FA organization?" Akiko Tsukino said, "Not for the time being, but I believe that the people from the FA organization must be in Tokyo. Sayama's intelligence network is very useful in Europe, the United States, and the Middle East, but not in Tokyo at all. We have to give him more time." Long Bing sighed in her heart. The idea came up again, but she was still unwilling. Was the last mission really going to end in failure? Chapter 966. Although there were many things to worry about, such as the spy and Long Bing, Charlotte still gathered his thoughts and entered the second battlefield on time at 10 o'clock in the evening. In fact, no matter how busy he was these days, he would come to his study at 10 o'clock every night, turn on his hacker computer, and enter the U.S. stock market in his best state. Previously, he created good news for himself and bought all the shares of Green Algae Company. The Centennial Fund then released bad news and even let the media expose the Green Algae Company's violation of regulations, using extreme means to suppress the stock price. This was also an opportunity for him to make money. The U.S. stock market could not only be long, but also short. When the Centennial Fund suppressed the stock price again, he also joined the ranks of short, making a lot of money. After a few days, he no longer had 140 million US dollars in his 4 accounts, but 300 million US dollars. The U.S. stock market did not have a limit system, and accounts with more than 25,000 US dollars could be traded as many times as they wanted. This was also the reason why his profits had more than doubled in the past few days, because such a system gave him more opportunities to make money. Tonight, his strategy changed again. "Miss Isabel, it's me, your friend." Charlotte's voice sounded very friendly over the network phone. "Hello, my friend." Isabel's voice came from the speaker of the hacker computer, and she was smiling. "I have received your gift. Thank you. It let me move into the house I want." Charlotte said lightly, "I'm afraid 100,000 US dollars won't let you buy a good house, right? It's just a part of the house payment." "That's true, my friend, but I will try my best." Charlotte smiled. "Then do you want to pay for the house in one go, and then give the house a high-end renovation, and buy yourself some of the appliances you want?" Isabel was silent for a moment. "My friend, tell me, what do you want me to do? And how much will you give me?" Charlotte said, "You have shown me your ability and sincerity. This time, of course, I will not treat you badly. I'll send you an email. You can write whatever you want in the text, and you can do whatever you want with the video. But remember, it must have a great impact." "That's not a problem. I have friends who work in online media and social media platforms. I'll give you the influence you want," Isabel said. "All right, I will give you 1 million US dollars this time. I will pay you 500,000 US dollars in advance." "Wow, my God, you are so generous. Use the deposit I paid you to buy some shares of Green Algae Company. You will soon become a millionaire." After that, Charlotte hung up the phone. A minute later, he sent out an email. It contained information about the Jake Guerra project that he had stolen from the Green Algae Corporation, as well as surveillance videos that he had stolen from the 100-Year Fund surveillance system. Once these things were exposed, the shares of the Green Algae Company would enter the next round of skyrocketing prices. But tonight, he was going to spend 300 million US dollars on the shares of Green Algae Corporation. 300 million would become 600 million. 600 million would become 2 billion. His snowball would become bigger and bigger. However, he would not repeatedly dig for gold in the stock of Green Algae Corporation. After this time, he would abandon this stock and look for other prey. Against the backdrop of the 100-Year Fund's malicious short selling, retail investors and small investors who held the shares of Green Algae Corporation could not hold back and were dumping the shares of Green Algae Corporation. This was exactly what Charlotte wanted. He bought in little by little, and every time he bought in at a low price. After spending 300 million US dollars, the stock price only rose by 2%. But his cost price was below this 2%. In other words, even if he bought in such a large amount, he actually made a profit of 2%. After spending 300 million US dollars, Charlotte used the internet phone to make another call. This call was to Hornick. When the call was connected, Hornick's voice came from the computer speaker. "May I ask who is this?" Charlotte said in a gentle tone, "Uncle Xia, sleep. Uncle Xia sleeps naked. Uncle Xia is a bad guy." There was suddenly no sound from Hornick's side. These were the keywords that Zhu Xianyue implanted in Hornick's brain when she deeply hypnotized him. Once someone said these keywords in his ear, he would become a puppet and unconditionally execute that person's instructions. Zhu Xianyue was the person who deeply hypnotized Hornick. Her whereabouts were unknown, but Charlotte could still activate Hornick through these keywords and make Hornick obey his instructions. "Cough 3 times. Charlotte said, "Cough, cough, cough." Hornick's coughs were heard. Not one more, not one less, just 3 times. After confirming that Hornick had entered another mode, Charlotte began to issue orders. "Go to Greece for vacation and come back in a month." "Yes." Hornick's voice. If anyone investigates the accounts of Giovanna, Stella, Teresa, and Rosa, you have to do your best to protect them. Yes. Hornick's voice. The vague instructions were also effective for Hornick. Charlotte's purpose of activating Hornick was precisely for this reason. The Green Algae Company stock had continuously released amazing good and bad news, and the traces of manipulation were very obvious. This could easily attract the attention of the SEC, which would launch an investigation. He had to prepare for this situation in advance. This was also the reason why he decided to give up the Green Algae Company stock after going long this time. Even if the Green Algae Company stock had a lot of room for appreciation in the future, he wouldn't touch it again. Of course, this was only the initial operation method. Because it was illegal, there must be some preventive measures. When he snowballed, his funds would be spread to every corner of the U.S. stock market, and he wouldn't have to worry about the SEC investigation. The U.S. capital led by Soros attacking the Thai and Hong Kong stock markets was an example. Japan was also an example. The governments involved clearly knew what was going on, but they could only watch Soros and the U.S. capital make a lot of money. They couldn't do anything about it. Because it was legal, they were making money under the market rules, unless you close the market. After finishing what he had to do, Charlotte left the study room. It was already 2 o'clock in the morning. What is that guy doing now? Is he planning his next move? Or is he spying on me? After leaving the study room, Charlotte's thoughts shifted back to the spy incident. With this thought in mind, his eyes quickly scanned the surroundings. Unfortunately, he didn't notice anyone spying on him in the dark. After taking a few steps, he suddenly changed direction and walked in another direction. Xiao told me not to leave anyone out. What she said makes sense. That spy is hiding so well, and the information he obtained is very important. He can't be a normal employee, Charlotte thought. The place he was going to was his future brother-in-law, Ryu Youngnam's room. When he reached Ryu Youngnam's room, he hesitated again. He actually knew what was going on. When he went to the U.S., Ryu Youngnam disguised himself as him, and his whereabouts weren't discovered by the CIA. Just this point alone could eliminate Ryu Youngnam as a suspect. There was another reason why he hesitated, and that was that he believed in his sister's vision. If Ryu Youngnam was a bad person, and Ryu Youngnam was with her all the time, even sharing the same bed, how could she not notice it? After standing at Ryu Youngnam's door for a while, he turned and left. It was okay to suspect him, but if he entered Ryu Youngnam's room to check on him, it would be obvious that he didn't believe him. Doing so would hurt Ryu Youngnam's heart. After all, Ryu Youngnam was Xia Shui's fiancé. He was the man who had to take care of his sister for a lifetime. As her brother, he couldn't do that. It would be too selfish to do so. That guy hid so well. He obviously lurked again during this time. This can't go on. I have to find a way to lure him out. Charlotte pondered in his heart, and he came to Liang Xiao's room unknowingly. He looked through the door and saw that Liang Xiao had fallen asleep. He gave up the idea of going in to sleep in a warm bed. He couldn't bear to wake her up. Do. Just as Charlotte turned to leave, the satellite phone rang. Charlotte then took out the satellite phone. He glanced at the screen. It was an unfamiliar number. He hesitated for a moment and answered the phone. Hello. Listen carefully. Charlotte was stunned for a moment. He was too familiar with this voice because it was his father, Xia Chang's voice. The United States has launched a new material project, which is the same as your project. Charlotte was surprised and lost his voice. How is this possible? This project is secret. It's a copy of your project. I didn't get much information, but I believe that the Americans got the sample and formula. Where's that project? I know what you're thinking, but I won't allow you to take extreme actions. Xiaochang said, because it's in the eastern part of the United States, Fort Braden, North Carolina. Do you know where that place is? That's the headquarters of the Delta Special Forces. The Delta Special Forces were the most mysterious and elite special forces in the world. No other country's special forces could compare to them. Since the establishment of the Delta Special Forces, there were many classic battle examples. Operation Reconstruction of Hope, Operation Free Iraq, etc. These battle examples have become textbooks for other countries to train their special forces. For the United States to build a new material project in the headquarters of the Delta Special Forces, it was obvious how vigilant they were. "Dad, you're in the United States?" Charlotte asked, temporarily. Xia Chang's voice. "Don't worry about me. I'm fine. I'm actually worried about you. There's a very powerful spy lurking around you. You have to find him." "I will. When you coming back?" Xia Changhe was silent for a moment. "I haven't considered this matter yet. Fan Fan and I are going to have our wedding during the spring festival. I want you to attend," Charlotte said. "I also want to, but my coming back will bring a lot of trouble. We'll talk about it when the time comes. If I don't come back, don't be disappointed," Xia Changhe said. Charlotte said, "I know. I can understand you. Fan Fan will too. You seem to have 4 wives. You're only going to have your wedding with Fan Fan. What are you going to do with the other 3? Women take their wedding very seriously." Charlotte smiled bitterly. "I'll take care of it. You don't have to worry about it." "Okay, that's it." "Wait," Charlotte said. "Tell me, what are you looking for?" "You'll know, but not today." Xia Changhe hung up the phone. Charlotte sighed a little gloomily. At this time, the door suddenly opened. Liang Xiao, who was only wearing pajamas, leaned against the door frame and looked at Charlotte quietly. Charlotte put away the satellite phone and walked to Liang Xiao. "Why are you up?" "I knew when you came." "Who called?" Liang Xiao asked. Charlotte held her in his arms. "Let's go under the covers and talk. You'll catch a cold if you wear so little." Liang Xiao poked Charlotte's waist with her finger. "No matter how much I wear, you'll still pull out, right?" "Charlotte." The door was closed. Chapter 967. At dawn, it suddenly snowed. The fluttering snowflakes silently covered everything. The black, gray, and ugly were all buried in the white snowflakes. The snow also delayed the arrival of dawn, and the sky still looked dark. It was really a great enjoyment to sleep in bed in such weather. Xia Shui came out of the man's room and went to the door of Liang Xiao's room without even turning around. She hadn't reached out and knocked on the door when Liang Xiao's voice came from the room. "Ah, be gentle. Don't hurt the child." "I'm already very gentle. Okay? I almost didn't use any strength." This was Charlotte's voice. "Yours is so thick, and mine is so tender. Even if you're gentle, I can feel it. It's so sensitive." "Then, should I stop for a while?" No, I feel it moving." "Aya, it's coming again." Outside the door, Xia Shui's face was flushed. The conversation between Liang Xiao and her brother seemed to make her think of something. She didn't feel good. She turned around and left. As she searched, she muttered, "So shameless. Doing that kind of thing early in the morning. My brother is really something. Sister-in-law Xiao's belly is already big, and he still wants to do it. What if he hurts the child?" At this time, Charlotte's voice suddenly came from behind Xia Shui. "You're already here. Why don't you come in?" "Come in." Xia Shui stopped and turned to look at the closed door with a shocked expression. Charlotte's voice said, "Don't think too much. I'm giving your sister-in-law a massage." Xia Shui entered Liang Xiao's room, and she found out that her brother was indeed giving Liang Xiao a massage. The part of the massage was also Liang Xiao's slightly bulging belly. No wonder Liang Xiao had such strange words just now. "Sister-in-law Xiao." Xia Shui called out very cleverly. Liang Xiao said with a smile, "Have a seat, Xiao Shui. Are you here to see me or your brother?" Xia Shui said, "I'm here to find my brother." Xia Shui glanced at Charlotte, but she didn't continue. "Why are you looking for me? Then say it." Charlotte said, "Your sister-in-law Xiao is not an outsider." Xia Shui smirked. "Well, this is what you asked me to say, so I will say it." "Say it," Charlotte urged her. "The spring festival is coming soon. When will you and sister-in-law Fan's wedding be? Where should I do it? Who do you want to invite?" Xia Shui spoke very fast, but when she spoke, the corner of her eyes had been observing Liang Xiao's reaction. It was indeed awkward to talk about Charlotte and Fan's wedding in front of Liang Xiao. No wonder she didn't say it just now. She had to take into account Liang Xiao's feelings. Liang Xiao seemed to understand Xia Shue's thoughts. She smiled and said, Xiao Xue, you don't have to consider my feelings. I'm fine. On that day, I will be Fan Fan's bridesmaid. Xia Shui. Charlotte said, Xiao Xue, you want me to let you host the wedding, right? Yeah, I'm here to talk to you about this, said Xia Shui. Okay, then I will let you host it. As for the time, let's set it on the 4th day of the first lunar month. Why is it the 4th day of the first lunar month? Because I want to marry 4 wives on that day, said Charlotte. Xia Shui. Although she was speechless, Xia Shui really admired her brother. He could manage such a complicated family relationship so well, and his sisters-in-law were so harmonious. Wasn't this ability worthy of admiration? For a man to be able to do what her brother did, there was no one else. However, she secretly made a decision in her heart. That was, she wouldn't let Ryu Young-nam spend too much time with her brother. She was afraid that he would learn bad things. Liang Xiao gave Charlotte a punch. You are very proud, right? I won't marry you. Charlotte didn't hear it. He continued, Xiao Xue. As for who to invite, you can decide. Well, you set the date. I will help you deal with other things. I estimate that your wedding will need at least 500 tables. I will make it very grand for you, so that you and your sisters-in-law will be in the limelight. Xia Shui said with a smile. Work is work, but you have to be careful during this time, Xia Lei warned. And I will. It wasn't the first time that Xia Shui had experienced something like this. You should go. I want to talk to Xiao Xue. Liang Xiao pushed Charlotte and wanted to drive Charlotte away. Charlotte said, I didn't go out to talk with Xiao Xue just now. Why do you want to drive me away? A man shouldn't listen to a woman's words. Hurry up and leave. Liang Xiao pushed Xiao Lei out and closed the door. It was actually very simple for Charlotte to eavesdrop on the conversation between the two women. He only needed to awaken the X-ray ability of his left eye and then use the lip-reading technique to read their lips. However, he didn't do that. It was really boring to eavesdrop on the conversation between his wife and sister in the boudoir. After breakfast, Charlotte came to the company. The information that his father gave him last night was very important, but it was not comprehensive. However, he also had his own interpretation. That was, the formula and production process obtained by the new material project established in the United States were not complete. Because until now, the complete formula and production process only existed in his mind. He didn't tell anyone about it. Therefore, unless the Americans had the means to steal secrets from his dreams, they wouldn't be able to successfully imitate his secret Gold X. This inference also pointed him in a direction. That was, the spy cut the sample and the initial formula from the new material laboratory that Eugene Lee was responsible for. The Americans had now mastered the carbon element arrangement of the silver metal, which was actually a huge loss for the Rema Group. When he came to the company, Charlotte went straight to the material laboratory. At the door of the laboratory, he met Qin Kaiwei, who had just come out of the material laboratory. Chairman Xia, good morning. Qin Kaiwei smiled very sweetly, and her voice was very soft. Charlotte said faintly, You came so early. I'm diligent. Qin Kaiwei smiled and handed a document to Charlotte. This is the report that Eugene Lee asked me to come get. He said it was for you, and it was very important. Charlotte took the document bag in his hand, but he didn't open it. He said, Why didn't he bring it to me personally? Qin Kaiwei said, I don't know about that. He was probably busy. He said he was working on a plan to build a material workshop. He told you these things? Charlotte's tone was calm. Qin Kaiwei chuckled. Chairman Xia, don't think too much. He's not my cup of tea. We just know each other. We're just ordinary friends. Charlotte said, Go ahead. I'll go in and take a look. Oh, by the way, make me a cup of tea and put it on the desk. Well, okay, Chairman Xia. Qin Kaiwei left. Charlotte's gaze moved to Qin Sayue's back. His left eye twitched slightly. In the blink of an eye, Qin Sayue's PL uniform disappeared from his sight. His intention was to peek at Qin Sayue's body to see if there was any spy equipment on her, such as a bug or a pinhole camera. The X-ray vision peeled off the clothes on Qin Sayue's body. Her body was tall and well-proportioned. Her small waist seemed very slender, but her buttocks seemed very plump. The top was thin and the bottom was fat, coupled with a pair of beautiful ivory legs. Her back view was very sexy and very attractive. There was no spy equipment hidden on her body. However, just as Charlotte was about to end his X-ray vision on her, his gaze suddenly shifted to a place a little below her white jade ball. He saw a wet mark. What's going on so early in the morning? Charlotte's heart skipped a beat. He suddenly took out a pen from his pocket and threw it forward. The pen was immediately thrown onto the grass beside Qin Kaiwei. Qin Kaiwei didn't notice what Chairman Xia, who was behind her, had done, but she heard Charlotte's voice. Kaiwei, I dropped my pen. Help me pick it up. Charlotte didn't wait for Qin Kaiwei to turn around and said, It's in the grass on your left. Qin Kaiwei shifted her gaze to take a look, then bent down to pick up Charlotte's pen on the grass. Just as she bent down, Charlotte's gaze shifted to her perky buttocks again. Qin Sayu's actions had stimulated him quite a bit, but it also confirmed one thing. His female secretary had just done that kind of thing with someone. Qin Kaiwei walked over slowly and handed the pen to Charlotte. Chairman Xia, your pen. Thank you, Charlotte said with a smile. Chairman Xia, is there anything else? Qin Kaiwei asked. No, go do what you need, Charlotte said. Okay. Qin Kaiwei responded, then turned around and left. She was especially well-behaved today and didn't harass her Chairman Xia. If it wasn't for his X-ray vision just now, Charlotte might have missed this detail. It's so early. Who did she have sex with? Charlotte couldn't help but think about this question, but he quickly gave up. She's an adult and has needs. She tried to seduce me so many times but failed. She can't just hang herself on me, right? After Xiao comes back, she won't have a chance at all. It's normal for her to have a boyfriend. Well, who's her boyfriend? The previous question was very boring, and this question was also very boring. Charlotte entered the material laboratory and came to the door of Eugene Lee's office. He once again awakened the X-ray vision of his left eye and looked at the situation in the office. Eugene Lee was typing on the keyboard. It was a proposal for the new material workshop that Rema Group was preparing to build. He looked very focused and didn't notice who was outside the door. Charlotte used his X-ray vision again, but he didn't find anything suspicious. Then, he ended his X-ray vision, opened the door, and walked in. Eugene Lee looked up and hurriedly stood up. Chairman Xia, you're here. Look at the mess here. Please sit down. I'll make you a cup of tea. Charlotte said, No, I just came to see how your plan is going. I've just started. It's just the beginning. Eugene Lee looked very embarrassed. I worked overtime last night and finished the report of the last experiment this morning. He glanced at Charlotte's hand and said, Isn't that the report I wrote? Has Secretary Qing handed it to you? Yes, I met Secretary Qing outside, Charlotte said. I haven't had time to look at it yet, but I'll look at it when I get to the office. Eugene Lee rubbed his hands. Chairman Xia, I should have sent it to you personally, but Charlotte interrupted him. It's okay. You're so busy. It's okay to ask Secretary Qing to send it over. That's it. You're busy now. Come to the multi-purpose conference room for a meeting tomorrow. Well, I'll be there on time, Eugene Lee said. Charlotte patted Eugene Lee's shoulder. Do a good job. I won't treat you badly. If you do this well, you and I will go down in history. Li Yudun nodded heavily. I won't let you down, Chairman Xia. Charlotte smiled, and then left Eugene Lee's office. He opened his palm, and there was a curly hair lying in his palm. An image suddenly appeared in his mind. Those two guys really knew how to play. Chapter 968. Tokyo, Japan. Two women walked under the open-air TV in Ginza Square. One was petite, and the other was tall. When they passed by the open-air TV, the two women's eyes moved to the open-air TV at the same time. There was a news program on the TV that day. On the huge screen was a kendo dojo, and the ground was littered with corpses. Although the picture was mosaic, it still looked very bloody. The news host said that it was a Yakuza killing, but no one thought that the murderer who caused the murder was standing in Ginza Square watching the news program. The two women were Akiko Tsukino and Longbing. The two women wore human skin masks on their faces, and they looked very ugly. Yakuza killing? Akiko Tsukino sneered. I don't know if they will suspect the Yamaguchi-gumi. Let's go. Sayamo will be here soon, Long Bing said. Akiko Tsukino nodded, and then walked to the road next to the square. This was the place where she and Sayamo agreed to meet. At this time, a woman's photo suddenly appeared on the open-air TV. The woman in the photo was none other than Long Bing. Now we have an urgent news. A female news host in formal attire appeared on the TV screen. Her expression was very serious. According to the information provided by the police, this woman is a spy from China. She stole the artificial intelligence technology of a technology company and is currently on the run. If there are citizens who found this woman, please provide clues to the police. Wanted on TV and even framed. Long Bing suddenly frowned, and her eyes were terrifyingly cold. Akiko Tsukino took her hand. Stop watching. Let's go. Is the Japanese media like this? Long Bing said coldly. Akiko Tsukino smiled. The artificial intelligence technology of that technology company has long been in the hands of your man. The Hattori family framed this matter on you, so it's not wrong. Isn't there a saying in China that a wife pays her husband's debts? That's a son paying his father's debts, Long Bing said. It doesn't matter if it's the wife paying back the husband's debt or the son paying back the father's debt. It's just a different way of saying it. Akiko Tsukino said, Actually, what I want to say is that you should really consider going back to China. Your appearance has already spread throughout Japan. Although you have a mask, experienced people will still be able to see through your disguise. It's already very unsafe for you to stay in Japan. How about it? Think about it. Why do you always persuade me to go back? Long Bing's voice was very cold. Is it because you are Japanese? Akiko Tsukino shrugged. I know you're unhappy and anxious, but I want to tell you that although I'm Japanese, I am definitely not a nationalist. My life was given to me by my father, and everything I have now was given to me by your man, so I will always be on your side. Your man asked me to protect you, and that's why I'm here. As for your mission, I don't care at all. The first thing I have to consider is your safety. Do you understand what I'm saying? Long Bing was silent for a moment. Let's go. I'll consider whether or not to return to China, but I still need some time. Akiko Tsukino nodded. In fact, she was not angry with Long Bing. She knew the women around Charlotte very well, and the one she liked the most was Long Bing. When the two women came to the side of the road, a motorcycle slowly drove over. The rider of the motorcycle was a man who looked very strong, but his face couldn't be seen because he was wearing a helmet. But from his body characteristics, the two women quickly recognized that he was Sayamo. Get on. Sayamo's voice came from inside the helmet. He didn't take off his helmet. Long Bing didn't move. In this world, except for Charlotte, she didn't want to have even the slightest intimate physical contact with anyone. Akiko Tsukino seemed to understand Long Bing's thoughts. She climbed onto the motorcycle and said to Long Bing, You sit behind me. Only then did Long Bing get on the motorcycle. She was actually very grateful to Akiko Tsukino, but she didn't say it out loud. Sayamo turned around and said with a smile, Akiko, hold my waist. Akiko Tsukino said lightly, I have a shuriken on my belt. You better sit a little forward, or I can't guarantee that it won't stab into your butt. Sayamo, he liked Akiko Tsukino, but Akiko Tsukino didn't have any feelings for him at all. She was always thousands of miles away from him. Sayamo moved a little forward, and his boat was almost on the fuel tank. He knew Akiko Tsukino. She was a woman who could do what she said. He didn't want to have a hole in his butt. After the two women sat down, he started the motorcycle and drove along the road. An hour later, the three people left Tokyo and came to a village at the foot of Mount Fuji. The village was not far from Yunanyakai, only a 10-minute drive. That place was unforgettable for Long Bing, because it was in that village that she and Charlotte had a romantic and exciting memory. It was also in that village that she became Charlotte's woman. Under the leadership of Akiko Tsukino, Long Bing and Sayamo entered a very old building. It was a kendo dojo with more than 200 years of history. It was a new safety point that Akiko Tsukino prepared for Long Bing. In the snow-covered courtyard, A thin Japanese old man was practicing kendo. His movements were slow, but it gave people a sense of sharpness. Although Long Bing didn't know much about kendo in Japan, she saw the demeanor of a master from the old man. The old man gave her the impression that Charlotte was similar to Liang Zhengchun, Charlotte's master, and Tang Yinhai, Tang Yuyin's grandfather. "He is my master," Kenichi Yagyu. Akiko Tsukino said, "He owes my father his life, and I am the person who repaid my father's favor. He taught me ninjutsu and also taught me to kill. He is very powerful." Charlotte's father is really... Long Bing had a very strange feeling in her heart, but she couldn't say it. "What do you want to say?" Akiko Tsukino looked at Long Bing and seemed to be guessing what she was thinking. Long Bing shook her head and said, "Nothing." She changed the topic and asked, "Is your master okay?" "There is no problem. You can rest assured about that. You need to make a decision as soon as possible. This place is not as safe as you think. The longer we stay here, the closer the danger is to us," Akiko Tsukino said. Long Bing said, "I will think about it." "You don't have to..." Ding-ling-ling, ding-ling-ling. A series of ringtones suddenly interrupted Long Bing's words. It was the satellite phone she used to contact her colleagues in 101 innings. "It's a call from my people." Long Bing took out the satellite phone and looked at it with a surprised look. "Don't answer it," Akiko Tsukino said. Long Bing didn't answer the phone. She didn't need Akiko Tsukino's reminder to know that the Japanese intelligence department was likely to use her colleague's phone to track and locate her current location. As an ace agent in 101 innings, she had used these methods before. Ring, 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 answer the phone. Kenichi Yagyu stopped. "Are you going to let it keep thinking about it?" Kenichi Yagyu was speaking Chinese, and his pronunciation was perfect and very standard. Long Bing was stunned for a moment, then decisively hung up the phone. This was a special satellite phone in 101 innings. Its anti-tracking performance was better than the satellite phone of the Zodiac team. As long as she didn't answer the phone, it was almost impossible for the Japanese intelligence department to track her current location. "Akiko, come and practice with me," Kenichi Yagyu said. He raised his hand and threw the samurai sword in his hand to Akiko Tsukino. Akiko Tsukino reached out and grabbed the handle of the samurai sword. She said to Long Bing, "Go into the house and rest first. I'll find you later." Then she stepped into the field and fought with Kenichi Yagyu. The courtyard was suddenly filled with the shadows of swords, and the sound of cold weapons colliding could be heard continuously. Long Bing felt uneasy. She returned to her room. Ring, ring, ring. The satellite phone rang again. The urgent ringing of the bell caused Long Bing to fall into a state of contradiction and pain. She suspected that this was a trick by the Japanese intelligence department to trap her. She couldn't answer the phone, but she also suspected that her colleagues had escaped the control of the Japanese intelligence department and were calling her for help. The probability of this happening was very small, but even if it was 1%, if she didn't answer the phone and her colleagues died because of it, she would be condemned by her conscience for the rest of her life. Should she answer the phone or not? Long Bing was so confused that she couldn't make a decision for a while. But just as she was hesitating, the satellite phone stopped ringing. Did the Japanese intelligence department lose patience so quickly? This is not normal. Long Bing guessed in her heart. Beep. A paragraph of text was suddenly sent to the mailbox. "Boss, we escaped. We are hiding in the wild Serene Hachikai. We need your help. Please come and meet us as soon as possible." What was going on? Long Bing could no longer judge, and her heart was in a mess. Wild Serene Hachikai. Why is it Wild Serene Hachikai again? She and Charlotte had a bloody battle in Wild Serene Hachikai. It was in that battle that she thought she had killed Gukyuan, but Yamosa of the FA organization had escaped. Now his colleagues had escaped to that place. Was this a coincidence, or was it the arrangement of the Japanese intelligence department? Knock, knock. Someone knocked on the door twice. Long Bing stopped thinking and said, "Come in." The Japanese-style wooden door slid open, but it was not Akiko Tsukino who walked into the room, but Saimu. "What can I do for you?" Long Bing asked him. The members of the Zodiac team were still very strange to her, and she never liked to stay in the same room with strange men. But if it was Charlotte, he could do whatever he wanted. Siamu sat cross-legged and said, "Mrs. Long, you should talk to me." Longbing frowned slightly and said, "About what?" Siamu said, "About the phone call you didn't answer just now. Was it your people who called you? Did you see it? Don't forget what I do." Siamu said. Longbing said, "Yes, it was my men. They called twice, but I didn't answer. I received an email saying that they have escaped and are currently in the wild ninja Hachikai. They wanted to meet them there. This is a trap." Longbing was silent. She also smelled danger, but she couldn't do something like ignore the life and death of her own people. "Leave it to me. I will figure out the truth of this matter." Siamu got up. Longbing looked at him and didn't speak. Siamu smiled bitterly and said, "You are like a block of ice." "I'll forget what I said. What I want to say is that we are on the same side as the boss. You can trust us 100%. However, you have to think about it clearly. Do you want to protect the boss's armed forces or the people of 101 innings? This is something that you need to decide on your own, but no matter what decision you make, we will support you." Longbing watched Siamu leave. She still didn't speak. Chapter 969. In the afternoon of the next day, the senior staff of Rema Group came to the multi-purpose conference room of the headquarters office building one after another. The meeting time was set at 2:30, but it was 2:40, but Charlotte had not appeared yet. At the beginning, the conference room was still quiet, but Charlotte did not appear, and the people who participated in the meeting began to talk. "Chairman Xia called us over for a meeting. The set time has passed. Why hasn't he come yet? Is there any sudden situation?" Huang Shuwen, an artificial intelligence expert, spoke to Eugene Li next to him. Eugene Li said, "I don't know. Maybe there is something. Brotherly, do you think that Chairman Xia called us for a meeting this time because the new material workshop is ready to start construction?" Huang Shuwen said. Eugene Li said, "Maybe. This is the most important thing at the moment. Sai, Chairman Xia is really something. He should have informed us and let us prepare. Don't worry. Chairman Xia is a smart person. I'm afraid he already has a plan in his heart. We just need to do what he says." Eugene Li said with a smile. Others were talking and talking, but Ryu Youngnam seemed very quiet. He sat in a chair and looked at his phone. On the screen of the phone was a diamond ring. The diamond ring was big and bright, and of course it was expensive. He was probably choosing a proposal ring for Xia Shui. With Xia Shui's current identity and status, it was no problem for her to wear the most expensive jewelry in the world, but he couldn't afford that kind of jewelry. At this time, Qin Kaiwei came in and turned on the two monitors on the conference table. The images of two women suddenly appeared on the monitor. One was Guan Lingshan of Haizhu Base, and the other was Zhou Xiaohong of Shudi Base. Both women were the people who started the business with Charlotte, and they were also the veterans of Rema Group. Guan Lingshan and Zhou Xiaohong were obviously also notified. They couldn't rush to the capital headquarters for the meeting, but they attended the meeting in this way. On the two monitors, Guan Lingshan was sitting upright, calmly waiting to attend the meeting. Zhou Xiaohong was sorting out a report. A middle-aged female secretary was whispering in her ear, apparently reminding her of something. "Is that Zhou Xiaohong, the person in charge of the base in Sichuan?" "Yeah, I heard that she's just a junior high school student. Back then, it was Chairman Xia who took her in. If it wasn't for Chairman Xia, she would probably be washing dishes in some restaurant right now," someone whispered. "Yeah, this is fate." Someone sighed. "What fate?" I think someone wanted to say something, but he didn't dare to continue. Actually, no one said anything about Guan Lingshan, because Guan Lingshan had graduated from a university and was also a senior member of the Rema Group. Zhou Xiaohong, a junior high school student, was the boss of one of the bases of the Rema Group. Those who were educated and capable would definitely be dissatisfied. No one dared to say anything in front of Charlotte, but when Charlotte wasn't around, such discussions would occur. There had never been any equality in this world. There was discrimination everywhere, racial discrimination, nationality discrimination, education discrimination, and geographical discrimination. Qin Kaiwa had just finished setting up the two monitors, and she sat next to Ryu Youngnam. She glanced at Ryu Youngnam, who was looking through his phone to choose a ring, and said with a smile, "Oh, Masahiro, are you buying a ring for Xiao Xue?" Ryu Youngnam hurriedly put away his phone and just faintly smiled. Qin Kaiwa nudged Ryu Youngnam with her elbow. "What? Are you going to propose to Xiao Xue on the day of Chairman Xia's wedding?" Ryu Youngnam awkwardly nodded. "Yes, but I don't know if it will succeed. You are so handsome, and your temper is so good. You will definitely succeed," Qin Kaiwa said, and then she lowered her voice. "How about, I will help you when the time comes. I will definitely succeed." "Thank you, you are so enthusiastic," Ryu Youngnam said politely. Two German engineers also walked in. The blonde Anina and Sylvia immediately added a beautiful scenery to the conference room, and it also made Qin Kaiwa not the most eye-catching one. Anina and Sylvia sat at the end of the long conference table, and they were whispering in German. "Lucas must be announcing the start of the new material workshop," Anina said. Sylvia said, "I guess so. The world's most perfect aviation material. I am excited just thinking about it. If that material is mass-produced, we must have some of it, and we can build an invincible ZKZ 100 main battle tank. Do you still need to say it? He will definitely give it to us. He doesn't even come to our place anymore." Sylvia's eyes were a little disappointed, but not sad. "Shoo, his wife is here. Don't let her hear you." Anina lowered her voice. Sylvia looked at the door of the multi-purpose conference room and just happened to see Liang Xiao walking in with a document. She then shut her mouth because she knew this woman's background. She was a former senior intelligence officer of the CIB, and she didn't have the courage to hook up with this woman's man. As soon as Liang Xiao came in, the multi-purpose conference room instantly quieted down. After the conference room quieted down, Liang Xiao said, "Director Xia suddenly left, so I will be hosting this meeting." She then changed the topic. "I believe you guys have guessed it already. That's right, the topic of this meeting is the new material workshop." "Ms. Liang, when will it be built?" Huang Shuwen asked. Liang Xiao said, "Very soon. It will be done before the Chinese New Year. The higher-ups are very pressing, and they want money, manpower, and equipment. The higher-ups have given us unprecedented support, and we are just waiting for the plan." "That's great," Eugene Lee said with a smile. "If that's the case, we will be able to mass-produce the X mystical metal as soon as next summer. By then, I believe our drones will be born." "Yes, Director Xia and I talked last night, and he has actually designed all the drones of our Rema group," Liang Xiao said. "Director Xia has designed our company's drones?" Huang Shuwen looked very surprised. Liang Xiao nodded. "Yes, he has designed Rema Group's drones. He named this drone Wasp." As soon as the word Wasp was said, the conference room was instantly filled with discussion. Director Xia has actually designed Rema Group's own drones. "That's great. New material, new drones. Rema Group will soon enter the territory ruled by Lockheed Martin Corporation and challenge them." Huang Shuwen was very excited, and his voice was trembling when he spoke. "Is this true?" Someone said, "Isn't this too fast? Do we still need to talk about our Director Xia's speed and ability? Is this considered fast?" "I don't think it's fast at all. This is normal," someone said. "Yes. It didn't take long for Director Xia to design our own tank. Building a tank is much more difficult than building a drone," someone said. There was a lot of discussion. Qin Kaiwa lowered her head and took notes, looking very serious. Just as the multi-purpose conference room was in a heated discussion, in another room, Charlotte was watching the video in the conference room through the surveillance camera. He carefully observed everyone: Ryu Youngnam, Qin Kaiwa, Huang Shuwen, Eugene Lee. This was the purpose of this meeting. He wanted to use his eyes and his bait to lure the spy out. Liang Xiao said that he had developed a drone that belonged to Rema Group, but that was not true. He named the non-existent drone Wasp with the purpose of stinging that guy. The people who have access to the new material project and those who know about this project are all here. Could the spy be among them? Who stole the formula and the sample of mystical metal X and gave it to the Americans? Who leaked Long Bing's mission to Japan? While observing everyone in the conference room, Charlotte was also thinking about this question. In the conference room, Liang Xiao raised her hand again and said with a smile, "I know you are all very excited, and so am I. But it's useless to be excited. Take a look. This is the drone blueprint of Director Xia, the correct formula and production process of mystical metal X. Director Xia has completed the most important part. Next, it's up to you all to work together." Liang Xiao held up the two documents she brought. Both documents were marked with a very thick marker. One of the documents had Mystic Gold X written on it, and the other had Hornet written on it. However, she did not open the documents. She only showed them and put them down. "Director Liang, can I take a look?" Huang Shuwen asked anxiously. Liang Xiao's gaze fell on Huang Shuwen. "You're in the field of artificial intelligence. Materials and drones are not your area of expertise. Can I take a look?" A material expert from the material laboratory asked. Liang Xiao said, "Don't worry, Director Xia will make the decision on this matter. I brought his secret documents here just to let you know that this matter has reached the most critical moment. We must unite as one and share Director Xia's burden so that Rima Group's new material workshop can be built as soon as possible." The conference room suddenly burst into discussion again. After a long while, Liang Xiao said, "You guys are almost done with your discussion. Tell me more about your opinions. Secretary Qing, please record the speech." "Okay, Director Liang." Qing Kaiwei then opened the record book and entered the secretary mode. Liang Xiao glanced at Eugene Li. "Eugene, you are one of the participants of Secret Metal X and the person in charge of the new material project. You have a most say." Eugene Li thought for a moment and said, "Director Liang, I am making a proposal for Director Xia, and it is only the beginning. After all, I don't know the formula and production process of Secret Metal X. Eldefan and I have made a sample, but it was a failure. I admire Director Xia very much. He solved the problem. I am very curious about how he did it, but I'm not in a hurry. I believe that Director Xia will definitely announce the formula and production process at the right time." Liang Xiao said, "This is not a suggestion." Eugene Li smiled awkwardly. "Director Liang, I believe that Director Xia has already planned everything. He just wants to see our determination. I definitely have this determination. I am willing to do my best for the new material business of Rema Group. I believe that everyone here is the same as me. We, the Thunder Horse people, are never afraid of hardship or tiredness. We are confident that we can make Director Xia feel at ease and satisfied." Qing Kaiwei gently clapped her hands. As soon as she threw out a brick to attract Jade, there was a burst of applause in the conference room. In another room, Xia Lei's brows furrowed slightly. But it was not because he had found someone's tail, nor was it because he had found some clues. It was because everyone looked normal, and it was difficult for him to judge who was the spy. Charlotte picked up a communicator and said in a low voice, "Xiao, let's end the meeting. It is meaningless to continue. Next, we just need to wait for the big fish to eat the bait." In the conference room, Liang Xiao said, "That's it. End the meeting." Chapter 970. After leaving the multi-purpose conference room, Liang Xiao came to Charlotte's office. She casually placed the two top secret documents, Secret Gold X and Hornet, on Charlotte's desk. Qing Kaiwei walked in and presented the notebook to Liang Xiao. "Director Liang, this is the transcript I made. Take a look." Liang Xiao took the transcript and threw it on the desk. She said, "There was nothing important in the meeting just now, so it's useless to record it." "I think so too, so I didn't record much," Qing Kaiwei said. Ring, ring, ring. Ring, ring, ring. Liang Xiao's phone suddenly rang. She picked up the phone. "Hello. Chairman Xia, you wanted to come over? Okay, I'll be right there." She walked out as she spoke. "Is that Chairman Xia?" Qing Kaiwei asked. "Yes, it's him." Liang Xiao didn't stop walking. She had already walked out of the door as she spoke. Only Qin Kaiwei was left in the office. After leaving the office, Liang Xiao's voice became softer. I'm already out. The things are on your desk. Keep an eye on them. Charlotte's voice came from the phone. I'm keeping an eye on them. In another room, Charlotte was staring at the monitor of the hacker's computer. On the monitor, Qin Kaiwei was staring at the two top-secret documents, Secret Gold X and Hornet, which were on the table. She was only 2 steps away from the two top-secret documents. Go get them. Go get them, Charlotte said in his heart. As long as Qin Kaiwei reached for the two top-secret documents, she would be the spy he was looking for. As long as Qin Kaiwei reached for them, the problem that had been bothering him would be solved, and the hidden danger of Rema Group would also be eliminated. Qin Kaiwei walked over to the desk. In 2 steps, she was beside the desk. She stretched out her hand towards the desk. Is it really you? Charlotte said in his heart. The scene of Qin Kaiwei appearing in front of him for the first time, the work she did in Paris, and even the scene of him almost having sex with her appeared in his mind. There were 2 documents and a record on the desk. Qin Kaiwei's hand slowly reached over. Princess, please answer the phone. Princess, please answer the phone. At this moment, Qin Kaiwei's phone rang. This kind of interesting ringtone was very suitable for women like Qin Kaiwei. Qin Kaiwei retracted her hand and swiped the answer button. She didn't say anything and just hummed twice before hanging up the phone. Then, she reached out to pick up the transcript, turned around, and walked towards the entrance of the company. She actually did not touch the 2 top-secret documents. Charlotte didn't understand. He thought that she would touch the 2 top-secret documents, or even use her phone to take a picture of the contents, but she didn't. She only took a few glances and then left. The door opened and Liang Xiao walked in. She said anxiously, Is it her? Is it her? Charlotte smiled bitterly. Then, he turned the hacker's computer on the desk and turned the screen to face Liang Xiao, who was walking over. There was no one in the office, but the 2 top-secret documents were still on the desk. Isn't it her? Liang Xiao asked in surprise. Xiao Lei said, There are no surveillance cameras in my office. Qin Kaiwei knows this, and you weren't there at the time. If she was a spy, would she be able to resist the temptation of the real formula and production process of the Mystic Gold X? Not to mention the secret of the drone. And if she wanted to steal secrets, she only needed to open the documents and take a few pictures with her phone. Liang Xiao frowned. She suddenly took out her phone and made a call. This call was to Qin Kaiwei. Hello, Secretary Qin. I left in a hurry. I forgot to put the 2 top-secret documents on Chairman Xiao's desk. Can you go in and help me put them away? Where? In the bottom drawer of his desk. Liang Xiao said. Charlotte asked, Why did you ask her to go back and get them? Liang Xiao said, Try her again. In addition, I asked her to put them away according to common sense. It's not normal for me to just leave such important documents. I asked her to do this. She will feel that I trust her. Charlotte nodded. Liang Xiao used to be a senior intelligence officer in the CIB. There was no doubt about her ability in this area. He believed that she handled it correctly. On the monitor, Qin Kaiwei returned to the office. Qin Kaiwei went straight to the desk and picked up the 2 top-secret documents. She looked at them, but did not open them. She opened the drawer under the desk, put the 2 documents in, and then locked the drawer. After doing all this, she left the office. Charlotte said, It's not her. Liang Xiao thought for a moment. According to my observation, it shouldn't be her. But I was also observing the others in the conference room just now, but you didn't find anything particularly suspicious. Charlotte smiled bitterly. I also observed everyone. I didn't miss anyone. I paid special attention to the expressions of everyone in the conference room when you picked up the 2 top-secret documents and spoke. It's a pity that I didn't find anyone who left any clues. The other party is a master. It seems that we underestimated him. Liang Xiao frowned even more. Charlotte said, Xiao, you used to work in the CIB, and your position was very high. You, Liang Xiao punched Charlotte. You didn't allow me to mention the past. Why did you mention my previous job? I also didn't allow you to mention it. Xiao Lei smiled. I'm just trying to catch that guy. Liang Xiao sat in his arms. I know what you want to know. I will tell you. After a pause, she said, the CIB is a very large organization with tens of thousands of people all over the world. Although I worked in the CIB and my position wasn't low, I can't know every member's information. This kind of behavior is also strictly prohibited. Charlotte sighed. Tens of thousands of people. That's not something you can figure out. Liang Xiao said, also the CIB has its own assassins. Those people are directly controlled by the highest level. They are engaged in assassinating political leaders and subverting the enemy's regime. They are the real elites of the CIB. Have you seen that movie? Are you talking about The Bourne Identity? Yes, that's the movie. Sean and The Bourne Identity is based on the CIB's assassins. They are very few in number, but they are definitely the elites of the elites. They won't act on ordinary people, but when they do, it must be a big mission. If we don't catch him this time, maybe in a few decades, his deeds will become a classic teaching case for the CIB. Charlotte's lips curled into a cold smile. I won't let that happen. He can't escape from my palm. Do you have any ideas now? Liang Xiao stared at Charlotte. Charlotte smiled. It's a secret for now. Oomph. You're still keeping secrets from me? No. Tell me now, or I will tell your son. Liang Xiao twisted her waist and squeezed Charlotte's thigh with her full buttocks, looking like a naughty and innocent girl. In the past, Shiji was very good at acting coquettishly, and Charlotte liked it the most. With Liang Xiao's words, he gave in. Okay, I'll tell you. Put your ear here. Liang Xiao then put her ear next to Charlotte's mouth. Charlotte moved closer to her ear and whispered something. Liang Xiao's face immediately revealed a trace of a smile, and then she nodded again. Just when she thought Charlotte was done, Charlotte suddenly stuck out his tongue. Her face immediately turned red and even became soft. Charlotte said with a smile, You're the only one allowed to be naughty, but I'm not allowed to be naughty? Liang Xiao suddenly adjusted her sitting position. She curled her lips, and her beautiful eyes were dark and watery. Her expression was like a little girl riding a wooden horse who accidentally dropped her lollipop. Her expression suddenly made Charlotte realize something. He hurriedly said, Oh, I remember. I still have something to do. Oh. Before he could finish speaking, Shiji's cherry lips blocked his mouth. Pregnant women should not be provoked. This was a valuable experience left by the older generation of men, but he did it knowingly. Love surged in this room like a tidal wave. Madame Liang was playing in the ocean of love, while Madame Long was on the other side of the ocean, struggling to find a way out. Saimu came back and brought her a lot of photos. Some of the photos brought back by Saimu were copied by hacking into the hotel surveillance system. Some were secretly taken with pinhole cameras, and some were even taken by civilian drones in the air. Through these photos, the situation of the entire Wild Ninja 8 Seas was clearly revealed. There were no images of the colleagues in the 101 floors in the photos, but there were many images of Japanese agents who were obviously not ordinary people. Some of them were disguised as tourists, some as the owners or service staff of the Hot Spring Hotel, and some as local farmers. In short, the current Wild Ninja 8 Seas was no longer a good place for leisure, but a battlefield that could be triggered at any moment. As long as Long Bing appeared in the Wild Ninja 8 Seas, it would become a battlefield. Mrs. Long, I think you already know very well that the distress signal is simply a trap, just waiting for you to jump into it. Saimu said, I risked my life to take these photos. There are some places I can't take pictures of, but I believe that there are still people from the FA organization lurking in the Wild Ninja 8 Seas. The few of us, plus you will not be able to come back. Mrs. Long, it's time to make a decision. Akiko Tsukino appeared at the door. Even if you don't think for yourself, you have to think for the boss. Even if you don't think for yourself and the boss, you have to think for the child in your belly. Do you have the heart to let him leave this world without even seeing the sunrise? Long Bing subconsciously looked at her little belly. Although it was still flat, she could still feel the existence of the little life inside. Madame Long, is it worth it to destroy everything you have for a mission that you can't complete? Tsukino Anko said. Saimu said, I even suspect that someone deliberately arranged this mission for you. Since you already know the FA organization's Plan B, and the Rema Group has also stationed an air defense company and a set of S-400 air defense missiles. Even if the FA organization succeeds in hijacking the plane, what's the use? Long Bing let out a long sigh. Let's go back. Her career as an agent, the last mission, ended in failure. Chapter 971. I'm coming back. Long Bing's voice came from the satellite phone. I gave up. Her voice was filled with exhaustion and loss. It's good that you're back. Hearing her words, the stone in Xia Lei's heart was finally lifted. Come back. I'll take care of the rest. Okay, Long Bing responded. Don't forget that you're not alone. You still have me and your family. No matter how big the problem is, we'll face it together. Okay, Long Bing responded again. Be careful on the road. Okay. After a pause, Long Bing said, You be careful too. Did you catch the spy? Not yet. We'll catch him together when he comes back. Charlotte said, Okay, I'm hanging up. Long Bing hung up the phone. She had always been a woman of few words, but every single one of them sounded so comfortable. Xia Lei put the satellite phone away, his heart filled with joy. Liang Xiao and Fan Fan both came over and asked at the same time, Is Bing coming back? Charlotte said with a smile. Yes, she gave up the mission. She's coming back. Fan Fan said, That's great. Rui will be here soon. Then we'll be reunited as a family. Liang Xiao said with a smile, You want us to be your bridesmaids, don't you? What bridesmaids and bridesmaids? Fan Fan held Liang Xiao's hand. I'm just holding the ceremony first. None of you will miss out on the ceremony. I'll be your bridesmaid one by one. Liang Xiao was slightly stunned, then looked at Charlotte. Is what Fan Fan said true? Charlotte hugged her. Of course it's true. Where do you want to hold our wedding? Liang Xiao buried her head in Charlotte's embrace, her heart filled with excitement and happiness. I'll tell you when I think of it. There wasn't a woman who didn't want to have her own wedding. Marry a chicken and follow the chicken. Marry a dog and follow the dog. Although her situation with Charlotte was very special, and she did not expect to hold a wedding with Charlotte that was highly anticipated, as a woman, how could she not want to have her own wedding? I feel like I've let you guys down. Charlotte said. He really felt this way and felt guilty. Don't say that. You haven't wronged anyone. Liang Xiao gently covered his mouth. That's good. Other families aren't as lively as ours. That's right. Our family is the most lively, harmonious, and happy, Fan Fan said with a smile. The three of them hugged each other. Don't you think it's mushy? A woman's voice sounded. Tang Yuyin was here at a time when she shouldn't be. Tang Yuyin stood at the door in a black suit. She looked very serious. After becoming the chief of 101 innings, her style of dressing had changed. People would always change. There was nothing in this world that was unchanging. Tang Yuyin's appearance was like a stick that smashed into 3 mandarin ducks. In an instant, the 3 entangled mandarin ducks were separated. Yuyin, Charlotte shrugged. Can't you knock on the door? Tang Yuyin said, You guys didn't even close the door. Why would I knock? Charlotte was speechless. Fan Fan said, Tang Yuyin, what are you doing here? I'm here to look for Charlotte, Tang Yuyin said. In front of Fan Fan, she was always wary and didn't dare to be too presumptuous. Liang Xiao said, Yuyin, why are you looking for Charlotte? Tang Yuyin frowned. I don't think I need to tell you why I'm looking for Charlotte, right? In front of Liang Xiao, she didn't have any scruples. She could get angry if she wanted to. She didn't care about Liang Xiao's feelings at all. Liang Xiao was so angry that she couldn't even speak. But this was just an act on the surface. In fact, she was secretly happy. In terms of scheming, she didn't lose to the eldest daughter of the Tang family at all. As expected, Charlotte said, Xiao, don't be angry. It's not good for the baby. It would have been better if Charlotte hadn't said that. As soon as he said that, Liang Xiao made a retching sound. She covered her mouth and looked like she was about to vomit. Charlotte hurriedly reached out to pat her on the back. He said with concern, Are you okay? Do you want me to help you back to the room to rest? Wretch. Liang Xiao continued to vomit. Charlotte continued to pat her on the back. That's enough. Liang Xiao, can you stop acting? Tang Yuyin's mouth showed a trace of disdain. Charlotte said, Tang Yuyin, you can go back. You? Tang Yuyin's mood fell into an ice valley. Charlotte's words were like a bucket of ice water poured from her head to her feet. Charlotte added another bucket of ice water. No matter what you want to talk to me about, I'm not free today. Let's set up another time. Tang Yuyin looked at Liang Xiao, who was nestled in Charlotte's arms, and then looked at Charlotte, who was comforting Liang Xiao. Her eyes suddenly became misty. She was the one who was hurt the most. Why wasn't Charlotte comforting her? Not only did he not comfort her, but he also scolded her. Liang Xiao, who was in Charlotte's arms, glanced sideways at Tang Yuyin and winked. It was a provocative gesture. Tang Yuyin wanted to immediately pounce on Liang Xiao and tear her apart, but in the end, she suppressed it. She took a deep breath and said, Xiao, I'm sorry. It's my fault. I'm here to talk to Charlotte about the spy. It's very important. When had the eldest daughter of the Tang family ever lowered her head and softened her stance? This might be her first time. Liang Xiao then got out of Charlotte's arms. Hubby, you should talk to her. Sister Fan, let's go back to the house and knit a sweater. Yes, I still need a sleeve for my kid's sweater. I can't knit it well. Teach me. Fan followed Liang Xiao. Charlotte was a little speechless. Okay, let's talk. Sit down. Let's sit down and talk. Tang Yuyin did not move, but two streams of tears flowed out of her eyes and slid down her cheeks silently. Charlotte was most afraid of women crying. He said with a headache, Why are you crying? All right, I apologize to you as well. Just now, I was a little harsh. You knew that she was trying to piss me off and was acting, but you helped her piss me off. Tang Yuyin said angrily. Xiaolei spread his palms. She's carrying my child. I can't risk the pregnancy. Of course I have to help her. Tang Yuyin was speechless. Charlotte said, I'll be direct. I used bait today, but the spy didn't show up. Xiao said that the spy could be the best of the best in the CIB. It won't be easy to catch him. You'd better not do anything. He's very cunning. The moment you do something, he might run away or do something desperate. I heard that you're going to marry Fan in the Spring Festival. Tang Yuyin said. She was here to talk about business, and Charlotte was here to talk about business, but she was most concerned about Charlotte's private affairs. Charlotte sighed. Yuyin, I'm sorry, but it's impossible between us. You know that I'm going to get married soon, and it's a group marriage, right? Charlotte smiled. I don't think it's a big deal. As long as you're happy, there's no need to care about what the world thinks. Tang Yuyin's lips moved. Congratulations. Charlotte nodded. Thank you. Okay, then let's talk about business. Tang Yuyin said, the higher-ups only gave me a week. I don't have much time. If you can't find the spy in 2 days, I'll take action. Everyone will be investigated. Everyone except you is within the scope of the investigation. In 2 days? Are you kidding me? Charlotte frowned. Yuyin, I've already said it very clearly. I've already set the bait, but that guy didn't take it. I have to think of another way. 2 days is enough? Then I don't care. I can only give you 2 days. After 2 days, I'll take over. Everyone in the Rema Group's Jingdu headquarters will be restricted. They can't go out, and they can't leave the country. Tang Yuyin's tone was very tough. You'd rather kill 1,000 by mistake than let one go? You can think of it that way. This concerns the strategic interests of the country. I think you should be very clear about the nature of this matter. Charlotte was silent for a moment, then said, Yuyin, ever since you became the director of 101 Innings, you seem to have changed into a different person. You're wrong. If I changed, it was from the day you left me and left with Fan. Tang Yuyin suddenly lost control of her emotions. You're a liar. Charlotte didn't know what to say. There's one more thing. Tang Yuyin said, I received a call from Longbing. She requested to end the mission, but I didn't approve. Charlotte's face suddenly darkened. Why? The FA organization is plotting to launch an attack on us similar to the Twin Towers of the World Trade Center. This is the most serious terrorist threat our country has encountered since the founding of the country. As a soldier of the country, she can't back down on the battlefield. Charlotte suddenly became angry. She's your friend. In the face of national interests, I will put my personal feelings aside. You knew she was pregnant, but you still let her carry out such a dangerous mission. Charlotte shouted at her. What are you trying to do? I'm thinking from the perspective of national interests. You should put your personal feelings aside, too. Tang Yuyin didn't budge an inch. At this time, Tang Yuyin was like a different person, a stranger. Charlotte was so angry that he laughed. National interests? Do I have to say it out loud? Back then, because of you and Boss sure ostracized Ah Bing and let her complete an impossible mission. She completed it, so she stayed. Then you sent her to Japan to carry out such a dangerous mission. Are you so worried that she will replace you? Let me tell you, this time when she comes back, she will resign from 101 innings. She won't hinder you from being the director of 101 innings. Tang Yin was stunned for a moment. She obviously didn't know about this. Is this your own idea? Or is it your father or grandfather's idea? I'm afraid the interests of the Tang family are more important than the interests of the country, right? Charlotte said coldly. The people Ah Bing brought have been caught by the Japanese intelligence department. How can she complete that mission alone? And you didn't even send reinforcements. Tang Yuyin, do you want her to die so badly? Go away. I don't want to see you again. Charlotte sighed deeply. Also, it's useless even if you don't agree. If Ah Bing can't come back, I'll go to Japan to help her. I'd like to see if you could decide for me. Without waiting for Tang Yuyin to say a word, Charlotte turned and left. In the living room, Tang Yuyin stood quietly and didn't move for a long time. Her tears didn't stop. Chapter 972. The next morning, Xiaolei received a text message from Tang Yuyin. I've agreed to let her come back, and I've also agreed to let her resign. You still have 2 days to find out the spy. Charlotte showed the text message to Long Bing and Fan Fan. Did she find her conscience? Fan Fan said. Liang Xiao said, no way. She probably knew that Bing's resignation wouldn't threaten her position as the bureau chief, so she agreed. The Tang family must be involved in this matter. Long Bing's achievements were far more than Tang Yuyin's. She had once moved a big tiger like Yushanha. More importantly, she was Charlotte's woman. Although Charlotte didn't have any official position in China, he was the hero of the whole nation and the pride of the whole nation. His reputation was like the sun at high noon in this country. If she wanted to replace Tang Yuyin's position, she only needed to do a little bit of work. But this threatened the interests of the Tang family. This might be the reason why Long Bing was excluded and now sent to Japan to carry out a dangerous mission. Could it be that the Tang family leaked the information that Bing went to Japan to carry out a mission? Fan Fan said. Liang Xiao looked at Charlotte, her eyes straight, as if waiting for his answer. This kind of eyes also showed that she actually had some kind of answer in her heart. Charlotte smiled bitterly. It can't be. This is a crime of treason. Even if the Tang family has the courage, they would not dare to take this risk. Just talk about it at home, don't mention it outside. You are too soft-hearted and easy to trust people. Fan Fan said. The law says that killing is not allowed, but there are still people who kill, right? The law also says that corruption is not allowed, but there are still people who do it, right? Liang Xiao said. What she said was reasonable, and Charlotte actually had the same idea in his heart, but he was not willing to believe it. Fan Fan, ask Grandpa to come to the company today. Charlotte changed the topic. Sure, but why did you ask him to come? Fan Fan looked a little coy. Do you want to talk to him about the wedding? He won't take your betrothal gift. It's not about the wedding. Charlotte said. I want to lie to him. Fan Fan was stunned on the spot. As soon as he arrived at the company, Charlotte got busy. He bent over his desk and typed out a document. Qin Kaiwa walked in. Chairman Xia, why isn't Director Liang around today? Charlotte said, I went to pick a wedding dress with Fan Fan. Qin Kaiwa walked towards Charlotte. Are you going to let her pick for herself or help Fan Fan? Charlotte hurriedly turned off the monitor. He pretended to be serious and said, Kaiwa, don't say that. It won't be good if someone hears it. Qin Kaiwa said with a smile, Chairman Xia, who in the company doesn't know about you? Director Liang often calls old Xia to go home for dinner. Besides, it's not a bad thing. The men in the company are envious of you. Anyway, you can't say that, Charlotte said. Qin Kaiwa walked to the side of the desk and leaned forward slightly. Her three-button shirt collar immediately revealed a patch of snow-white skin. That deep cleavage was also clearly visible, and it exuded an alluring fragrance, which was similar to the smell of cheese. Charlotte subconsciously leaned back a little. What do you want to do? Chairman Xia, have you forgotten what happened in France? You almost. Qin Sayue's voice was full of temptation. You almost did that to me. Charlotte said. That was a misunderstanding. Qin Sayue's upper body continued to attack Charlotte. See how you're here, Charlotte suddenly said. Qin Kaiwei stood up straight and looked back, only to find that Liang Xiao didn't come at all. Her little mouth suddenly curled up. Chairman Xia, you're lying, Charlotte said lightly. Kaiwei, don't make trouble. We'll never have that kind of possibility. If you do this again, I'll transfer you to Sichuan. Go make me a cup of tea. Qin Sayue's eyes suddenly dimmed. Just now, Charlotte gave her the feeling that he was an old friend, but now he was her boss, giving her a cold and heartless feeling. And she was just an employee who was paid by him. Qin Kaiwei turned around to make tea for Charlotte. Charlotte turned on the monitor to work, and when Qin Kaiwei came over with a cup of tea, he turned it off again. Chairman Xiao, what are you typing? Qin Kaiwei put a cup of Jin Junmei tea on the desk. Charlotte said, don't ask, go and do your work. Okay. Qin Kaiwei turned around and left. Wait. Charlotte stopped her again. Go and get ready. Elder Fan will come today. First, set up the multi-purpose conference room, and then go and inform my chef to prepare lunch. Are there a lot of people coming? Qin Kaiwei asked. Not many, just a few military leaders. Oh, by the way, you have to do it properly. Go find some girls who can sing and dance, and do some cultural performances. Charlotte said. For the question, Chairman Xia. Qin Kaiwei said, Chairman Xia, what kind of military leaders are coming? We haven't done any cultural performances before. Why are we doing it this time? Charlotte said, this time, it's the head of the Air Force, and there's also a big shot from Pakistan. It's said that the big shot from Pakistan is related to our strategic interests in South Asia. This time, he came with a... Speaking of this, he stopped. That's enough for you to know. Go and do your work. Remember to find more beautiful girls who can sing and dance. The appearance of our Rema group is also very important. Qin Kaiwei smiled. Then I'll do it myself. I'm the representative of the appearance of Rema group. Charlotte waved his hand. Go, go. Qin Kaiwei left. Charlotte then turned on the monitor of his work computer and entered the surveillance system of Rema Group. This time, he didn't use any hacking methods because he had the highest authority in Rema Group. Video windows appeared on the monitor one after another, and many people in every corner of Rema Group also entered his sight. The second phishing operation had begun. There were many people who were worthy of suspicion, but there was no direct evidence to prove that someone was a spy. He asked Qin Kaiwei to find a girl who could sing and dance, so this matter would definitely reach the ears of the spy. And this was the first step of his plan. This operation originally wouldn't be carried out so quickly, but Tang Yiyin only gave him 2 days. If he couldn't catch the spy within these 2 days, 101 innings would intervene. At that time, the spy would either run away upon hearing the news, or he would do something crazy that would cause both sides to die. No matter which result it was, he didn't want to accept it. He wanted to catch the guy himself. At the same time, in the Academy of Sciences, Fan Fan put a brand new suit on Fan Yiming's desk. What is it? Fan Yiming, who was working on his desk, raised his head and looked at his baby granddaughter. Fan Fan said, Grandpa, change into this, then go to Rema Group. I'm not going. Fan Yiming felt like he was stepped on. That brat even hid it from me. Who am I to him? I'm his grandpa. He doesn't treat me as his grandpa, so I don't treat him as my grandson. Listen to me, don't marry him. If you marry him, he won't give you happiness. Aya, Grandpa, you're like a child. Fan Fan curled up the corner of her mouth. He didn't tell you because you don't have the ability to protect that secret. Do you know how important that secret is to our country? I can protect you for so long. Do you think I can't protect a secret? How can it be the same? Also, didn't he say that when we get married, he will tell you? I won't be able to eat or sleep during this period of time. Who knows? I might die before you guys get married. What are you talking about? If you say that again, I won't talk to you anymore. Ignore me, then ignore me. Sometimes Fan Yiming really was like a child. His resentment towards Charlotte was as deep as a brat's resentment towards his class teacher. Fan Fan sighed. Grandpa, this time I came to ask you to accompany an important person from Pakistan to the Rema group, as well as the leader of the Air Force. This is a very important matter. Your presence will let them feel our sincerity. Listen to me. Change your clothes and go. I'm not going. No matter what you say, I won't go. Fan Yiming was very stubborn. Fine. Fan Fan said, you go. If you go, I'll ask Charlotte to give you the formula for the X-dense gold and the secret to its production. You can take it back to study it. How about that? Fan Yiming's eyes lit up with excitement. Is what you said true? Of course it's true. I'm your granddaughter. Why would I lie to you? Fan Fan said very seriously. He will listen to you. I'm carrying his child in my stomach. He will listen to whatever I say. Fan Fan straightened her waist a little, and her small belly, which was already a little protruding, suddenly bulged out very obviously. I knew it would be like this, you too. Sigh. Forget it, I don't want to criticize your lifestyle. I'm going to go change. Fan Yiming picked up the suit on the table and went to the resting room. Fan Fan walked out of the office and went to her office in the Science Institute. Opening the door, there were a few people in the Air Force uniform. There was also a Pakistani. He was wearing ethnic clothing, light brown, deep-set eyes, high-nose bridge. He was a typical Punjabi. This ethnic group was the main ethnic group in Pakistan, a branch of the Aryan race. It was very easy to recognize. Liang Xiao was also in the office. She asked, how is it? Fan Fan smiled. It's settled. My grandpa is very easy to coax. Sometimes he's like a child. Sometimes Fan Yiming was like a child, and women were born to coax children. I'm also done here. Liang Xiao's face also revealed a smile. At this time, a few senior officers of the Air Force took the initiative to come over, one by one reaching out their hands to shake Fan Fan's hand, each one of them calling her senior officer Fan very affectionately. These people were not the leaders of the Air Force. They were the teachers of the Capital Film Academy. Each one of them was a veteran actor. The Pakistani was also not some big shot in Pakistan. He was a Pakistani actor who came to the Capital Film Academy to further his studies. Are you guys okay? Fan Fan asked. Of course not. The group of veteran actors seemed very relaxed. Do you remember what you need to say? Fan Fan asked again. We all remember. Don't worry, Senior Officer Fan. We will definitely put on a good show. The group of veteran actors said. Okay, let's go. Fan Fan said. A group of veteran actors, two big-belly directors. The only extra actor also changed into a suit. He was full of energy. A good show was about to begin. You're tuning into the Warrior Lore YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.